Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another exciting, explosive edition of the Voice of the College Nation radio show. I'm the College Genesis and the College Nation culture critic slash geopolitical pundit. Tonight we rumble, so I'm the College Rumble tonight. We're gonna have a good show. Now, when you have topics like the vast majority will never understand why, and also a look at the new arrivals from South Africa, we're going to get into it. You know what's going down in Cowland. You know you want to be here. You know you should be here. You know everybody you know should be here. So stop what you're doing and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend, pull up some popcorn, some peanuts, and everything. Like I smell I think my sister's downstairs, and I think they ordered pizza. I want to her a pizza. I smell it, man. God, I was a pizza. I'm in the mood for pizza. So I will make tonight pizza night, folks. I smell pizza. And I'll probably go downstairs later. I know she'll leave in the refrigerator. I'll grab me a slice or whatever and bring it back up. But the bottom line, let's make tonight pizza night, man. Let's make this night pizza night in Cololand. College Nation's pizza night. So pizza is our choice of snack tonight. Go get yourself a pizza, a frozen pizza, or yourself some Domino's or Pizza Hut or Papa John's or whatever, whatever pizza joint you have, and let's do pizza tonight. It's still early. And so you can have it delivered by DoorDash or whatever you have in your area, delivery. Yeah, so do some pizza night. Tonight is pizza night. So anyway, folks, when you have topics like the vast majority never understands why, the whole that term right there, I want you to think about that. Why? Now, 4 months ago, I looked in my archives. I did a show called College Genesis, A Man Who Knows Why, Oh, Doc Mio said, I got steak, man. You make me hungry, man. Don't be telling me you got steak and you can't ship me none. I swear to God, I'll get on a plane and fly to another country to get steak. I'll do anything to get steak. Steak's my favorite food, Sirloin, ribeye. No, ribeye is my favorite, Ribeye is my favorite. Ribeye steak is my favorite steak. Now I will go anywhere. I'll go to the end of the earth. And also prime rib, filet mignon. I had that in Dallas. Oh, I love steak. Steak is the best. Yeah, steak and potatoes. That's my whole thing, But look, folks, I did a show called A Man Who Understands Why. There's an old saying I want to share with you tonight that we the College Nation, one of the parables that the College Nation adopts. The man who knows how will always have work. He'll always have a job, right? But the man who knows why, well, I knew steak and veggies too, but I also had potatoes. I like buttered potatoes, or a baked potato with butter and sour cream in it with a steak. That's my favorite. And some broccoli. I gotta have a potato. I like vegetables too, but I always gotta have a potato with my steak. Whether it's a buttered steak, fried potatoes, or just a baked potato with butter, sour cream, and size and pepper. Oh, I love that. Chives, pepper, sour cream, butter. Love it. Just piping out of the oven, man. I'm getting hungry. I might just end the show and go over to Lone Star tonight. Y'all talk me into it. We got this one place, Aberdeen. I haven't gone to there, but it has the best steakhouse in the area, right? I'm waiting for a friend of mine to come down here from Baltimore. One of my listeners, he said, man, Kyle, I'm coming down to Virginia. We're going to go out, man. Dinner's on me. I said, I know exactly. I said, just going to be on you. I got an expensive place I always wanted to go to. So like I said, if I go to Aberdeen's, I can't be by myself. See, I'm a connoisseur restaurant. I go out by myself, but if I go to a real fancy restaurant, I feel stupid being the only one in a fancy restaurant like that. So I'll wait till I got somebody to go with and stuff like that to go to a fancy place like that. Now, I can go to Lone Stars by myself or Texas Steakhouse by myself. I don't care about those people in there. But Aberdeen is a really fancy place. You see like business meetings there. You see couples. You always see friggin' people like on their night, a date, whatever like that. And I don't want to be the fucking loser sitting there without a date, whatever like that, sitting there. Look at the loser over there, sitting by himself eating steak. I know the shame of my game, but I can't go in there. I gotta wait till I get someone to go in there with me or whatever like that, or a special occasion. So I've never gone to Aberdeen. But the food is there is good. They got steak, they got lobster, they got everything. Aberdeen Steakhouse. Look it up, Virginia Beach, Aberdeen Steakhouse. Really, really good steaks. I can't wait to try it, Anyway, The man who understands why, right? The man who knows how to do his job, who knows how, will always have a job, will always have work. But the man who understands why will always be the ruler, the boss, the one in charge. That you understand why. We could say about Liberia. When people like Elvis come up here and say, "Oh, the native people were the majority," yeah, but the native people, although they're the majority, they didn't understand why. You understand? They didn't understand why. That's why the country fell apart. They didn't understand why. If you're not a part, there's two groups of people. The people who know why are always going to dominate the people who just know how, or just majority. You know, the people who know why are always going to be the ones that master. You have to know why that we have a constitution. You know, I know why we do certain things. Why do we have relationships or whatever like that? If you don't understand why, you cannot basically take over any government or a thing like that. Obviously, Donald Trump, say what you want about him, he's a man who understands why. Why do we get into these trade deals? Why do you cut taxes? Why do you shore up your defense? Why you do all these things? It's the why. That's what people don't understand. People basically don't understand why. And the bottom line is this: when people understand why, they may make decisions you don't understand, right? But in the end, they're alone with it all. Success or failure, they're alone with it all. But until you get in that position of knowing why, don't judge the people who's in power. Like me, people say, "Well, Colin, why do you do certain things on your show?" There's a reason why I do certain things. There's a reason why I say certain things. There's a reason why I don't say certain things. Reason why I stay in certain boundaries. There's a why, you know. And I always say like this, you know. I say, look, people think, "Oh, I could do a show." I could be like, "No, you can't," because I understand why. Why this show is being successful right now, because I did certain things. And when I look at this, my show last night was just done like, okay, I didn't even expect that show to be good, you know. And next thing you know, I woke up to 1,000 views. I'm like, holy shit, last 3 nights shows have been hitting 1,000 views per night. I mean, this is incredible, you know. So therefore, because I'm understanding why, I understand what people are talking about, what people want to hear, what people is on their minds. I'm not doing the same old, you know. That's why the show, it was having being such a small platform, got so many people talking about it. I got this black skin stupidity's amazing guy. I didn't watch the show. He has like 2 videos about me, you know. Everyone's talking about For Righteous is coming after me, you know. Everyone's talking about College Genesis, you know, because I struck a nerve. I'm a man who understands why. I'm not a big head. I'm not saying like that. But when you understand why, I knew all the success that I was going to have and the influence that was going to happen. I knew it before I even got on YouTube. I knew all this was going to happen, you know, because when a man knows why, he understands what he needs to do and how to get the reaction. I wanted to grow this platform I want to make sure, as far as like all the black YouTubers, I want this to be the #1 platform people go to. Yeah, G, you can come up here and explain to me that. I want this to be the #1 platform. I believe that this platform should not have any competition or anything like that. I believe my message is too powerful. It's powerful for everybody. I got something for everybody. I got something for black people. I got something for white Americans. I got something playing bases like this. No, I can't watch AK Nation. That's a clown. That dude's a clown. AK Nation's a clown. You know, he's somebody that doesn't know why. You know, he doesn't know why. He just anti-black American. And he says some good stuff with some real stuff and everything like that. But the bottom line is he's a clown, you know, because he's only doing sensationalism, you know. Is when you start asking why, or understanding why, you will never get any place. I basically understand why. I'm talking about South Africa. I understand exactly why they're bringing Afrikaners over here. I understand why, you know. And the bottom line is this: because I understand why, I am not shocked one bit. I'm just only surprised it didn't happen sooner and it's not on a larger scale. You know, you cannot have a country where one race of people basically crafted a civilization, wrote the Constitution and everything like that, and then tell them that, you know something, your time is gone. We're gonna friggin' basically replace you with all these people of color and everything like that. And basically, if you do bring white people here, that's being racist. But it's okay to flood the country with Middle Easterners, people from Central and South America, people from Haiti. That's okay. But as soon as somebody say, you know something, maybe we should bring some white people over here from Africa, white people from South Africa, because people say, well, they're not really asylum seekers. Well, let's look at something. Who is a real asylum seeker? Somebody's hungry, and somebody's basically can't get jobs, or that's not asylum. Asylum means you're in imminent danger of death and persecution, right? Unfortunately, the Black South Africans didn't do a good job in messaging to the world that we do not have genocide, white genocide. They will look, the white world's always suspicion of Black people having power in South Africa, especially when the world invested so much into South Africa. South Africa was part of the global white power structure. And so the Black government should have basically tread very carefully. I think the Black government should have basically, first thing they should have did was develop the Black areas that they currently had. They should have developed places like KwaZulu and all these homelands and everything like that to the fullest capacity. Leave no stone. Spent a lot of money on infrastructure, housing, enterprise zones, everything like that. Make the Black areas thriving, right? Then took a look at land export corporations, by which basically they could have said, no, this is not fair. But you basically did not do anything to build a Black South Africa up, and you basically want to take from the white South Africans who are producers. That's not. You should have created a society, South Africa, where you had Black people had their own independent stock exchange, their own banks, their own finance company. They should have did that over the last 30 years. They didn't do that. So now basically the Black people, basically, since they didn't build any infrastructure, they thought their problems were less than, I don't know, taken from the whites. And the bottom line, that sounds good and everything like that, but you got to understand something. When you do that, you're knocking on certain doors. And the bottom line, somebody like Donald Trump answered them. You can't do that. You're not in the power like that. You don't understand why. White South Africans basically have allies. We Black people in America, we're on our own. No African country ever came to our aid. No one gives us anything. There's no African country ever put their diplomatic reputation on the line for us, whatever like that. They just say, oh, yes. They'll just have a whole thing where, oh, yeah, a bunch of Nigerians protested somewhere in some slum talking about, yes, George Floyd. That's about it. You ain't going to see no African country put themselves on the line against the United States for Black America. It's never going to happen. But these white people will do that. You see the difference between them? Because they understand why. Why it's important for white people to stick with each other globally and everything like that. Why is it that they got to get refuge? Why is it that race trumps everything? Why it's like this? So like this, So what do you mean? You're not getting me, Rico. What are you talking about? Look, the bottom line is this. If you understand who the collagenesis is, I'm very multifaceted. I'm not just narrow-minded one way or the other and whatnot. I'm very multifaceted. I can basically have a conversation with anybody. I believe in what's LARP, what's logical, achievable, reasonable, and practical. Some things that I see us do in the Pan-African world is not logical. It's not achievable. It's not reasonable and practical. Same thing with the FBA movement, Yeah, the Pan-African movement is a joke. It's been a joke. It has, you mean to tell me 100 years of Pan-Africans and we have no freaking power? Nothing to show for it. Nothing. We have no land. We have no infrastructure in Africa. I've been talking about Black African infrastructure for over a decade now. Are we closer to that? We're no more further than getting to the Black African infrastructure than anything. A lot of people say, Carla, man, where's the Afrikstan? How you gonna build Afrikstan if you don't have Black African infrastructure? Where's your warehousing? Where's your ports? Where's your port facilities? Where's your port facilities? Where's all your diplomatic ties and connections? Are you helping making them? No. So don't friggin' talk about an Afrikstan if you don't want to build a global infrastructure. We need political support and everything. That's knowing why. Why you haven't got land yet? Well, I understand why we don't have land. Why land's not necessary now until we build a global Black African infrastructure. South Africa is white South Africa is part of the global white infrastructure. white Euro infrastructure. We have to build global Black African infrastructure. And so, therefore, if you don't build global Black African infrastructure, don't get mad at the white man because he says, South African whites, they're part of the global white family, white infrastructure. So we're going to look out for them. Don't get mad because Barack Hussein Obama never did anything. He was a joke in office and whatnot. He didn't understand why. He was a freaking complete clown. You understand why I'm coming with that? Why people say why he was attacking Obama? Because he was a joke. He wasn't one of us. He didn't understand Black nationalism, Pan-Africanism, and everything. But Donald Trump is a person who understands white nationalism, white survival, white future, and stuff like that. And I don't blame him. Every race of people, look, the survival is a first law. Are you a Pan-African? I don't know. Depending on what you mean by Pan-African. I'm a person who believes in Black African infrastructure. I'm a person who believes in a Black nation for Black America. That's what I do believe in. But if Pan-African means that we do absolutely nothing but emotionalism and stuff like that, no, I'm not a Pan-African like that. If you want to know a Pan-African, you read what the College Genesis says. I'm a College Nation is my own sort of Pan-Africanism. So it all depends on who you listen to and define as Pan-Africanist. Okay, DK says Cyril Reverend like so-called other African leaders, president, that Black America doesn't exist. Yeah, blame Michael Langley for doing it. Yeah, Michael Langley was doing his job, man. Why? Because he's paying them. He's part of a system. That's real. Look, Michael Langley and Africom and all the stuff like that is reality. Pan-African and Black unity has never made the transition from fantasy, emotion, and then becoming a reality. Michael Langley, the head of Africom, is a reality. He's a paid enforcer of U.S. policy in Africa. I don't know what you're talking about, real Donald Trump. What comment? I see a lot of comments. I can't read them all. I'm trying to do a show. Just if you feel like I read a comment, just keep posting them, and I'll eventually read it. If I don't answer to it, I'll eventually. What I'm gonna start doing is when we get monetized, if you want your comments read, put it on the super chat, and you'll definitely get your comment read. But we're not there yet. We're almost there, folks. We're closing on 1,000 subscribers, folks. So we need your help, and the viewership is like through the roof on this channel. So I thank everybody for tuning in. I thank everybody for their support. For Black Righteous says patterns is a joke. Y'all expect Black Americans to handle African business, and we're not. No, you're not doing anything. Why is Trump bringing liberal South Africa? What do you talk about liberal South Africans? I don't get what you mean by liberal South Africans. These are people who basically say they're being persecuted, and which is a lie. They're basically now what some of the people are coming here because they can't find a job or they have to compete with blacks or whatever like that. So I guess America's another option, But how are they liberal? I don't get that. I don't get how are they liberal. What is liberal about people who basically can't live under Black rule, under Black domination, stuff like that? I don't get it. I don't get what you see by how them being liberal. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I really only heard like one person. I haven't really heard them be interviewed. So South Africans are not very liberal. South African, the Boers are very conservative, very right wing, and very conservative. And the Dutch Reformed Church, that's a very conservative institution. Now some modern South Africans, right? That's mostly the English and people that come to South Africa. That basically the South African anti-apartheid movement was liberal, but it was not basically the country's liberal. No, the country's very conservative. Deeply conservative. The South African guy you had on here was well informed. You're talking about Lozy. Yeah, I wish Lozy could call in tonight because we are talking about South Africa. But yeah, so this thing tonight is this. I said the white ones I know are liberal. I don't know many white South Africans. I mean, look. Most white South Africans didn't like apartheid. But the thing is, though, are they really, really liberal? Are they really put the test? Because white people in South Africa still have all the wealth and privilege and advantage in South Africa. White South Africans basically have all the wealth and everything, and white South Africa is like a heaven on earth. It doesn't even matter what the people who running the country is. Whites still basically have it good in South Africa. It's just like the American Liberians or the Congo people. They still got it good in Liberia. So change of political guard means absolutely nothing, because the people who know why are always going to be in charge, always going to be like this. The Congo people, American Liberians know why. That's why they still got to defer to them to get certain things done in Liberia. Without the Congo people, Liberia would never existed, and it was still to this day not function, because they're the group that knows why. You always got to have the one group that knows why. And that's just the truth. People like Elvis don't want to hear that. We need the progressive. The progressive didn't know why. That's why it was impossible for them to friggin' take over the reins of power. They were not the group who knew why. They didn't know why you created a country called Liberia. Why it was important to bring people over here from the West and stuff like that. Even the fact that there's an African American lady that's the head of the University of Liberia, and all these Liberians basically, I don't understand. They don't understand why. Unfortunately, Native Liberians don't understand why. Sirleaf, her military head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in Liberia, was a Nigerian. They were online. Oh my God, how's a Nigerian? Well, this guy had impeccable military credentials, and he helped build the modern Liberian army. But he had to step down because of the pressure of people saying, why do we have a Nigerian up there? Well, the people who know why understood that this was the best man for the job. Knowing why is important. And when I open up the show tonight, I want to understand, I want to make a distinction between people who know how, and people think they know how, and people who know why. The people who know why is going to sound like college Genesis on everything. The people who know how, I think they know how, are going to be bumbling idiots, when they call in. Oh, Colin, but I don't understand. Because you don't know why, that we have to do certain things. Why do we have to do these things, Why do the white man do certain things in this country? Why is it necessary for us black nationalists? Because why is the Pan-African movement not friggin' successful like it is? They don't understand why, That's why the Pan-African movement can't get off the ground, because nobody wants to understand or accept why we have to do certain things, why we have to discipline ourselves, why we have to rein certain things in. G says, but Kala, in South Africa, there's still segregation in certain parts of South Africa where the black and white South. Yeah, of course, that's more economic than it is actually race. If you have a house down in South Africa and you don't make no more than a few dollars a week, then basically that you may say, oh, that neighborhood segregated, is no black people, because no black people basically can afford to live there. They got it like that. They're like, the white South Africans know, okay, we know for a fact our neighborhoods are still going to be 99% white, because most white, and the black people who do come in are going to be those few black people that's acceptable, like the Mark Blantons, down there. They're acceptable because they either from overseas, they got money, or they're a South African politician or something like that who wants to hobnob with us and everything like that. They can influence and everything. So they got it made, The black people, because the black people did not build any black communities thriving. They didn't build no black economics and everything like that. So everything is in proximity to white people. They know what the hell they're doing. They know what the hell they're doing. And so the white people who don't fit into this thing, like the wealth and everything like that, they feel left out. Because remember something, the South African the apartheid always gave a place to every white person, right? Even poorest white people were given like jobs and basic income and stuff like that, for not even trying. And the poor white South Africans in apartheid were also given subsidies for hiring black South maids, so they will always be in that class where they didn't have to do physical manual labor. Why they do that? Why? Because they wanted the support of the poor Afrikaners. And Nelson Mandela talked about the poor Afrikaners. Nelson Mandela made sure that when he took over the government, that they were taken care of, because it was them that basically decided to basically cast down their buckets and go with the post-apartheid. Had they not did that, and followed people like Eugene Terra Blanc and all stuff like that, then South Africa would have went into a race war, a race war. Folks. South Africa would have been into a race war, had those poor working class Afrikaners sided against that, right? South Africa would have been into a race war. So Nelson Mandela understood that. But these generation of black people in South Africa seem to have forgotten that. Had the whites wanted to keep on to that, there would have been millions of black people slaughtered in South Africa because they even had nuclear weapons. They had all kinds of weapons, tanks, everything. They could have held on to that government if they really wanted to, but they didn't. And so basically now the Pan-Africanists and all these other people, the Pan-African Congress at Zanu that split, they wanted a race war, a race war. I doubt if they would have won, but that's what they wanted. The ANC basically said, okay, let's not have a race war. Let's have a rainbow nation and everything like that. But if you're going to do a rainbow nation, you got to go all the way, and become a rainbow nation. You can't do a rainbow nation and then talk about we're going to seize land without expropriate land without compensation. You can't do that. Either you're going to have a race war and say screw it, we're going to have a black nation, we're going to all the whites gone, whatever like that. But how could South Africa do that? At the same time, they're divesting from the rest of the black world. They're trying to get rid of Nigerians, people that could help them build a country, Black South Africans basically, had they not divested from the rest of Africa, like even my good friend Lozy will come in, yeah, but we're taking care of all. I get it. You're taking all these people from other parts of Africa, but those people are still black. That could shore up your numbers. They don't understand why. That's what the white Afrikaners did. The white Afrikaners community invited people post-World War II, invited people from England, Germany, France, Poland, the Netherlands, Spain. Matter of fact, Verwold was born in the Netherlands, right? And he migrated to South Africa, and he became the father of the Afrikaners. He was born in the Netherlands, He was a Dutch Netherlands. South Africa began recruiting white people from even America, the United States, and even some white people from Brazil who believed in a white homeland and stuff like that, So therefore, the white South Africans basically reached out to the entire white world and said, come here, this is a safe haven for white people, The white South Africans unify based on whiteness, The black race do not want to unify based on their blackness. They want to unify based on tribalism. You see the difference? See why I'm against tribalism? Why I hate tribalism? I didn't know. Dion Musk family's from Canada. I didn't even know that. The Portuguese, after the Portuguese fell in Angola, most of them went to South Africa. Same thing with Mozambique. So it was a haven for white racists and white people who are trying to colonize, ex-colonialists who feel disenchanted, whites that came from India. It also a lot of Indians that were kicked out of Uganda settled in South Africa, So South Africa, between the Indian population and remember Gandhi was from South that went to South Africa, and he was very, very racist and whatnot, But so the Indians, the whites, everybody all made South Africa their white supremacy sanctuary, So it is what it is, It is what it is, So like I said, knowing why, and then we get like this. So that's why people ask me why I don't understand why people are so shocked when you see these 50 or 60 white people, Yeah. Yeah, Gandhi was anti-black. He was very racist, He was very racist, He was very racist, anti-black when he looked down on the Kafirs, the black people, whatever like that, Not saying all Indians in South Africa are racist, but that was the culture of the country, They're trying to integrate with the people. They made a mistake trying to integrate. Yeah. The bottom line is this. I look, like I said, I tell people all the time, I don't know. See, the thing is, us and people, these FBA people don't understand something, right? There's got to be a choice made. We Pan Africans or Black nationalists understand why we do certain things, right? The FBA ADOS, they can't tell you, well, what is your plan for navigating in America, right? Now, people like Four Righteous, obviously, she's on government assistance. She probably not in a place where she has to deal with white people or whatever like that. So you can't ask somebody like her. You can't. Most of these FBA people are people who don't have anything going for themselves in life. But the bottom line is this: the Pan African Black nationals are saying, yeah. What if we built our own black world? What if we did build our own black world? Wouldn't that be a future? Or is it either that, or we basically say, forget all this. Let's just basically get along, because there's no such thing as you living in America and not being with white people. It's not like that. So when people tell me I'm an American, the Captain American Negro, what they're basically saying is, I want to be with the white folks. And the white folks don't want to be with you, because you know who's they're bringing over here? They're bringing more white folks over here. They don't give a damn about you, your so-called foundational Black American crap. They don't want you here. They don't care if you left tomorrow. You care, and unfortunately, the Africa is not reaching out to Black people. No one's offering Black America land and real settlement and stuff like that, like the whites are doing here with the white Afrikaners. Okay, yeah. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, if I right now I'm on the track to actually building Afrikstan, because sooner or later we're gonna have construction equipment on the continent. We'll be able to do road projects, whatever like that. And once we spread and get our practice in one country, we're gonna spread to other countries and everything. And then we'll have several of these settlements and stuff like that. So by that time, we're gonna have a lot of people coming to us through investment and stuff like that. So yeah, the energy is coming towards us for Black. Just sit back and watch. Like I said, for Black, we're gonna have you in the marketplace, man. I'm gonna send you to Ghana. You're gonna be one of those market ladies, whatnot. She like, hey, fresh mango, whatnot. She gonna be for Black, gonna have that big vase on her head and that African rap. I'm gonna get her some African woman rap. She's gonna be out there, man, friggin' selling fruit and mangoes and melons and whatnot. She's gonna do good too. She's gonna make a lot of money. So Four Righteous said she's gonna say, like, she gonna drag me tomorrow, boy. Oh, I'm waiting for that. Well, you said Thursday. You said Thursday, so it's Wednesday now. Tonight's only Tuesday. For a righteous Black person, I will have a lot of Black people supporting me. I will have a lot. I'm gonna have some of your listeners support me. How about that? We will raise the money and everything like that. We're gonna have a pipeline of money going to Liberia very soon. As soon as I get monetized here, when people, you can send me donations, you could do all stuff like that. Every dime is gonna be going to purchase equipment and stuff like that, office space, whatever we gotta do. We want to eventually get a facility. So, and For Righteous and Black people are gonna fund it. Black people are gonna fund it. If y'all can give $1 million to fucking Tariq Nasheed and we give some ragged ass museum, you could basically help me build the Black African infrastructure in Africa, which is going to eventually lead to a Black nation called an Afrikstan. We have to build a Black African infrastructure first, folks. We need our infrastructure in place. So For Righteous, you can all you want. We're going to do this. So it is what it is. Kala is a dreamer. College dreamer, Afrikstan. What? Goddamn, why is everybody attacking me tonight? I mean, jeez, man. I ain't do nothing, man. Sav 97, man. He just says, Kala, you're old and disgruntled. Nobody following you, brother. Oh Lord, man. For right says money from where? Put one of your money paying this dude, man, your money. Bottom line, people will support, this, for righteous black folks, some of your listeners are going to support too. I don't worry about white people. I live there. I live there. Minds were free. Ben Yusuf, do you care about white South Africans coming to America? You know, white people had a dream and now they have America. Yeah, of course. America was their dream. The American dream. That does not include people like Four Righteous, Part of the American dream is seeing people like Four Righteous on a boat to Africa, and we might make that happen too. Because she's coming, she's coming. Oh Lord knows she's coming. We're gonna have her in the market stall, selling fruit and everything, get her acclimated to the African way of life. You're coming for black, you're coming. So yeah, so folks, it is what it is, man. Those who understand why we ain't supporting you or laughing at you because you're a crash dummy. Okay, all right. Who is we? Tariq Nasheed's museum. Tariq's museum. I guess Poor Righteous, she donated money to Tariq's museum. No, I ain't coming anymore. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Four righteous black folks, Sister, I love you. You just gotta get some of that hate out of your heart, I ain't all that bad, man, Sam said, I appreciate your experience in Africa, though I think your take on Liberia is valuable. You should be a teacher. We're not following nobody, though. Oh, yes, you are. I don't support Tariq Nasheed. Oh, yes, you do. You sound just like him. You sound like his wife. Why is everybody running from Tariq, man? I ain't no Tariq supporter, Kyle. Yes, you are. Just if y'all love Tariq, man, stand on that shit. Stand in your square. Say I love me some Tariq. Just say you love Tariq, man. I ain't got nothing. You love who you love. That's what I'll say. You love who you love, man. So it is what it is. You love who you love. I can't stop anybody from loving somebody. You want to love Tariq? Go right ahead. I think something he says is okay. You think most things he said, but he's a grifter. Y'all know he was a grifter when he was Moors R Us, stuff like that. Just hidden colors. When the dude was a grifter from day one. Anytime you have fucking a documentary and you interview people like fucking Polite as a historian, Sinetta and Omar Johnson, the fuck you think? And he was a clown from day one. I never seen one of his hidden color documentaries. Collar, man. So I had dudes want that. Yo, Collar, you can't talk to me, man. I know Tariq Nasheed. I listen to Tariq Nasheed. I got Hidden Colors Volume 1, 2. And people always make it seem like having hidden colors, paying all your money to this stupid idiot thing made you so conscious and knowledgeable. Hidden colors, nigga. Are you kidding me? I don't watch his videos. I do not watch Tariq. There's nothing I watch about Tariq. Nothing. I mean, he says some of these videos are funny. If I come across them, I laugh. I think some of it's funny. It's hard. It's adolescent, but it's funny. It's childish and shit like that, but it's fucking hilarious. Something's just so funny. You're embarrassed when you laugh at it. You're like, I can't believe I watched that cartoon. I laughed. It was funny. And you're like, damn, I just watched a fucking children's cartoon. That's just like fucking Tariq. Where you go laughing at something that you're not supposed to laugh at as a grown person, as a mature adult. So it is what it is. Abraham said Mazungo sponsored museum, Mazungo State. Yeah. Brother Sanchez TV. Yeah, I have not seen any of his documentaries. College so much support. I give you this. Yeah. So you've seen them. You've seen them for righteous. You've seen them. Don't lie to me. You've seen them. You've seen them. So yeah, we're gonna have a good time tonight. The majority of people do not understand why. Last couple of days, I've been battling with a buffoon named. I know you like that Africans eating bush meat, but that was way out of line. You can't be having people like mocking people like Zongo and Chukwo and Michael Awale and whatnot. Them brothers eat bush meat, man. So there's our brothers and sisters, man. So if they want to eat bush meat, leave them alone, man. Leave them alone. Let them eat their damn bush meat. I just have these dreams, man, of Michael Awale and Chukwo gnawing on a fucking a bush meat bone right in the tree. I got speaking in Shinaga Laga Laga into each other. It's just gnawing on it, but with those sharp teeth and whatnot, bones, you know. I can imagine Zongo or Michael while they fight, the mouths are gaped and the jaws protruding. Yeah, these all these countries in the area, man, disgusting, man. I can't do nothing. Southeast Asians eat a lot of fucking nasty shit. Fucking same thing with Arabs. All these. I don't get down with none of these third world fucking people. Don't tell me about the third world and whatnot. Don't tell me I gotta speak shnaga laga, and I gotta eat all kinds of crazy shit and whatnot. It's like, man, this shit tastes like shit. It was shit, motherfucker. We eat shit in this country. God damn. Now I like eating what I like eating. I like having me some prime rib, a potato, some green beans or broccoli. I like eating civilized food. I can't be eating everything. I can't do it. I can't do it. I said, see, I understand why African Americans, if we go to Africa, we need our own space and our own land where we could practice our own religion and culture and stuff like that. I understand why. That's why I'm the College Genesis. That's why I'm the chief host of the Voice of the Call Nation radio show, broadcasting on YouTube, soon be back on DeVille Radio. I understand why. I understand why our people don't want to go to Africa because, look, I understand that we have a high standard of living, that if you cannot offer us the standard of living that we used to in America somewhat, we can't go to your country and stay. I understand why. You understand that? I'm a man who knows why. Everyone else on that dude YouTube, no one understands why. Damn, why black people in America don't invest in Africa? Damn, why? Because most people, when you talk about investing, they want to actually gain money and they want investment. They want a return on investment. And so the bottom line is investing in Africa, just to say you invested in Africa, people are tired of seeing people take their life savings and coming back broke. Man, I didn't make a dime, man, but I had a good time investing in Africa. Didn't make no damn money. I'm broke as hell, but I invested in Africa. I invested in the motherland. I know why most of y'all don't want to do that, because you want to make money, Four Black says, Collar, you're the most, what'd she say? Delusional man on YouTube. You love to hear yourself. Yeah, I do. Besides going to the mirror every day for righteous and brushing my hair, looking at my lovely face, whatnot, the second most thing I like is the sound of my own voice. I do, man. I can't wait to get on these shows. I'm like counting that when it was like, dude, show scheduled for 9:00. Like, oh man, I got a half hour left, whatnot. Please, I got to get on the show. People got to hear my voice. I was on Diane's. I couldn't resist. I was on Diane's show this afternoon. I got a $10 fine. I had to pay him, Vimo him $10 because I said the N word. I can't help myself. Anyway, but I cannot. Look, I love the sound of my own voice. I do. So when you love the sound of your own voice, you're always gonna be online and whatnot. You're always gonna want to be on the air. Some of these people went to Africa are too embarrassed. Yeah, a lot of people, man. I'd be like, look, there's people I'm trying to track down. I know they basically are back or they're living like refugees in America. I can't find them. They're hiding out because they didn't take my advice. They stopped talking about building Black African infrastructure in Africa. They went over there on their own, trying to be with the people and whatnot. Now they're back in America. They lost everything, all the stuff they sold. Now they're back in America. They're broke. Now, if they listen to the Black African infrastructure and the College Genesis, they could probably be settled in Africa right now, making money and doing their thing. But when Negroes are hard-headed, right, you always got to listen to the one who knows why. That's the College Genesis, Yeah, he goes, you say, yeah, that's a bad habit. People tell me all the time, you say, I have a bad habit. I've been doing that for 20 years. I can't break the habit, I say, all the time. Hey, so obviously you listen to College Genesis. I have a lot of bad habits for righteous. Dusty Bro said, I saw this document in Ethiopia where they don't even cook their food. They eat the entire cow from. Yeah, I know. I can't be doing. Look, I can't be doing all that shit, man. I can't do that. And like I said, you do not have to fucking. Yeah. The thing is, everybody when they go to Africa, they're on this rugged individualist shit. I could like that. So yeah, me and Bomani are the man. We're the real thing. Bomani and I are the real thing. Look, you don't have to listen to nobody else in this movement but Bonnie and myself. We're the only real thing people in this movement. You know, you know. So yeah, the rugged individuals. Like I said, I got one Negro. He goes, Kala, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm headed to Tanzania, meet with those brothers over. I'm like, nigga, who made you their brother? How they're brothers, they're black brothers like me, dude, man. They're just like that Maximilian character, man. He's gonna find out real soon that these Africans, some Africans don't give a shit about brotherhood. It's all about money. All they think about how much they can get out of money out of you. Brotherhood is something you gotta earn, you gotta build, You can't just look at somebody and say, we got the same color, so we're brothers. That don't work in the freaking real world, See, I understand why. Why is that? Because they didn't have the socialization of being a minority in a white country. I'll say, so I'm a jerk now. Why you call me a jerk? For righteous. And he thought said forward. There's no way that Kyle is the most delusional in you too. He's doing what he's plans to do, and he said he would do. Yeah, everything I'm doing is right on schedule. Next phase is getting my office. I'm incorporated in Liberia, so I'm a legal business entity. I'm incorporated. Next thing you know, I already got a consulting business over there, and I'm partnering with. I got a lawyer, legal firm, whatnot. I just need a few more things like an accounting firm, law firm, whatnot. Once I basically make a list of different construction companies and stuff like that, I'll make a database of everything. Once we're able to operate on a continent, you can come to me and say, look, I want to set up a business in Liberia, and I got you. I got you. We got your equipment. You can bring it in. I'll tell you how to get it on Freeport, get it shipped over. Liberia's about to modernize their Freeport with a deal with Morocco. So we're about to have one of the two Buchanan. That's what my dream. So as Buchanan becomes a modern port, right, with the help of the government of Morocco, we could probably build a community, a settlement, a state right there in the county of Buchanan. That's could be the worst. Could be the first, the place of the first micro Afrikstan. We can do it, folks. And we got a port facility. Make that a free trade zone, and we could bring goods and services and like that. I am not hooking up no Dr. Arcana. This is College Genesis. I'm the friggin' look. I'm basically am the leader of this movement. I don't look at no one else outside this movement. If you're not Black American, you're not Black African American man, male, so whatnot, and you're not joining me and coming under what I'm doing, you don't exist. Now, people want to go with Arctic County. I have nothing to do with that. But I'm not joining force with Dr. I got my plans and everything like that. I don't need Dr. Arcana, whatever she's doing. And so I don't endorse nothing she's doing. So hope that answers your question. But Monty just says certain people in his group went with Dr. Arcana. That's a problem we have. We have solid plans, Bomani and I, but people get stared over to different other groups out there. And then when it falls through, they're gonna come back like no, no, she didn't come up with the African. She stole it from me. Mr. Rosenthal introduced her to the idea, and she ran with it. She started calling Wakanda. She stole my idea. I got proof. I got all the evidence. She got the idea from me. She didn't come up with the idea first. That was me. Nothing these people do in Africa. They don't know why. And then the problem is I have with her is she doesn't know why. You can't just talk about a Black American and not understand why. Cause her plan was that we have some community over there, city, state, whatever, that they control, that Africans control, and we have no say so. So it's like Africans are going to rule over fucking us. And I'm not going to let my people be ruled over by Africans, you know? No, she didn't come up with the Africa. No, she didn't. I was way ahead of her for years. She came up with the idea in 2018 when she met Mr. Rosenthal in Zimbabwe. He introduced the idea to Robert Mugabe, and she started calling it Wakanda. You know, she started calling it Wakanda City Project, which was stupid because of the movie Black Panther that was out at the time. Matter of fact, I'll basically like this, you know. So let me go to my website. I'll show you. All right. Why am I signed out? What is this? Nope, that's not the password. Let me see. TAN 20. Oh. Gotta do my forgot password. Jeez. One of these days I gotta start writing this shit down here so I don't keep forgetting it. Damn. All right. Password reset instructions. All right. Chrome. I'll be with you in a second, folks. I gotta log into my account. You know. One, 8, 8. All right. All right. I'm gonna show you something, folks. Give me 1 second to log in. Okay. Let me see. Blogs. All right. Let me show you something. Let me get this down here. Find the blog. Okay, here we go. Okay, folks, you're going to see it live on this show. Wait a minute. You know, here's right here. Yes, I don't get enough credit for starting all this. I was the one who came up with this whole idea that we Black people in the diaspora need to build Black African infrastructure, which basically would be in Afrikstan in Africa, where we a city state with an industrial zone, commercial zone, business zone, residential zone, farming zone, all that stuff like that on territory that we control. That's in Afrikstan, you know. and she took it and ran with it. Okay, I mean, there's a proof right here. Okay, now, folks, here's this blog I did. Let's see. Okay, you see this? It says this was written in 2020, 5 years ago. Wakanda City has its has its origins in the BAIO Afrikstan mission. Let me read this. The Black African Infrastructure Organization is the originator of Dr. Arikana's Wakanda City project. The idea of an African diaspora, African American homeland in Africa came out of the extensive work of the BAIO. Although not in the founding membership, Mr. Rosenthal has been a partner in building relationship with high-level African officials for decades. In 2011, at the behest of the BAO, the Association of African American Liberia, he went on there promoting our Liberia Next series, right? A project focused on investment in Liberia rubber and other natural resources. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the audience with the Minister of Finance, even though he brought heavy investors with him. It was because he was African American. He faced prejudice from Liberian friends, his Liberian friends. A Liberian friend of ours, Samuel Cooper, gave him a tour of his land in Marshall, and actually it was McGreevy. Liberia, in which Rosenthal had found iron ore, gold, tin, and other minerals, as well as rich soil for rubber and cocoa production. We never gave up on Liberia as a country holds a special place in among the Afrikstan or for personal gain. Okay, so that's that. You see Liberia Next series. That's what was going on. We created upon endgame of the Black. We all have different beliefs and values and everything, but the end game of the BAO is an Afrikstan. That's what it's all going to culminate to, a homeland for the Black people in the diaspora, and particularly Black America. A homeland of our own in Africa. Anybody who's against that is insane. Is really insane. You got to be nuts. So it is what it is. And poor Righteous in there. She got such a dirty mouth for a woman, man. Jeez, but we're going to Africanize her. Okay, an Afrikstan must be built and controlled by the African American and African slave descendants, period. I made it clear in 2016 when I asked Mr. Rosenthal to pitch the idea around Africa. Surprisingly, we got positive feedback. The best was from Angola, which I cultivated since 2014, where Ghana, Kenya, and Liberia balked. Mr. Vemba, an Angolan American, told me Angola has plenty of space for a city-state. And I introduced the great mother to the great mother Celeste Brito. This under the corrupt Dos Santos regime, she was doing very well with her Natra Bank, which is Natural Resource Bank, and Rosenthal's Gold Bullion Bank. She proposed building an Afrikstan in northern Angola on the Congo River, a place called Soyo. I had our eyes on Tambua in the south. In 2016, everything was going good. In 2018, Celeste was in prison on false charges stemming from Angola. Things that stopped in Angola for the BAO. Mr. Rosenthal was in Angola at the time and went to Zimbabwe, where he met Dr. Arikana, some Chinese partners, and the president, Robert Mugabe. It was here he brought up the idea of a city-state for the diaspora, something like a Dubai. Dr. Arikana began calling it Wakanda because of the movie Black Panther, which was out around the same time. I objected to this because Afrikstan has a specific meaning, not something comic book fantasy. Yes, now you follow me now? Now, here's Mr. Rosenthal with Robert Mugabe, Okay, so, come on. What the heck? There's Mr. Rosenthal. I want to show you a picture of Dr. Arikana. I can't. Why is this frozen? Okay. Okay, here's Richard Rosenthal. Okay. Come on, load up. There's his partner, Korean partner, Chinese lady, and there's Mr. Rosenthal with Dr. Arikana. This is 2018. That's Rosenthal with Dr. Arikana. Okay. Here's the members of the opening of the Natural Resource Bank and Gold Bullion Bank in Angola. And there's Queen Mother Celeste right there in the middle with our international partners. What they do is they take natural resources throughout Africa, put them in vaults, monetize them, And so we got all types of minerals and precious diamonds and precious rare earth material being monetized, right? If this system grows, we're going to have so much wealth to develop Africa. It's unreal. This is what the Black African infrastructure is all about. This is what we promoted. This is what I introduced Mrs. Rosenthal to Angola and now. So if you want to know, now you know. You want to know, now you know. My computer's frozen. All right. So, yeah. Because the bottom line is, this is what happens when people go out there and they got an audience that's basically, oh, yeah. Look, the bottom line is that's why we create the social network, right? If you're not in the BAO social network, to me, you don't exist. People go out there and then later on, Akon come up with the idea. We're going to build a city for African Americans, blah, 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 blah. And all this nonsense, right? The real thing about the Afrikstan started right in the Black African Infrastructure Organization. Years before Rosenthal came on board, years before Dr. Arikana, we were talking about this. We were building this. We were the only ones that say our end game should be a nation state of our own, and several of them. The Afrikstan is not going to be just one one place. It's going to be several places. Well, like I said, Rosenthal, he got an affinity for Dr. Arikana. I can't. He's a grown man. I can't like that, but I can't rock with her. He rocks with her. I can't rock with her. Because I don't trust her. I think she's a grifter. To tell you the truth, I think she is. I could be wrong. But I think she's a grifter. Based on what I've seen, she's a grifter. Anybody who basically don't fully support the idea of an Afrikstan when basically produced the whole thing, I don't trust. It's everything what she does, how she's going to benefit in her. I don't look, but I'm not building this so we Black people in America give all our money to these fucking corrupt Africans. If we build an Afrikstan, it's going to be us that benefit. We're going to have our own tax base. We're going to have all this stuff like that. Revenue generation. We're going to be able to float bonds and whatnot. We're going to have our own sovereign. Meeting, what meeting are you talking about? I don't think any of these things, these people are important. I really don't. I've been doing this for years, right? And all these people, man, she recruited people like Andrew Young. Andrew Young spent his career trying to undermine Black power, Black nationalist groups. He's been out there. He basically was the one who got Soul City shut down in North Carolina. He spoke out against Soul City. So how is he on the fucking... Like, she just picks anybody that's popular in Black America, right? Benjamin Crump, are you kidding me? Al Sharpton, are you kidding me? So it is what it is. So with that, you want to come on, you want to talk about that, you want to talk about the white people coming to America. It's a new real life coming to America moment. With the white South Africans, I probably should have known this was coming. Just because Black people think that Black people will never have a homeland and relocate to Africa, right? Don't mean that other people won't do it. Yeah, so we see now is a very real possibility that there could be black people or a trend of black people being settled in Africa will happen. You know, So all these people go, I ain't gonna be on no Afrikstan. Okay, well, how do white people in South? So you tell me white people can relocate, we can't. So it is what it is. So step right up, step right up. If you want to rumble with the collar rumble, step right up, step right up. Step right up, step right up. This is the collar rumble tonight. We're rumbling. We're rumbling tonight. P. Princess of P is coming up. Okay. I did have a headache today and it went away. But I know it's coming. It's about to come back in any minute now. Okay, here's Princess of P. All right, P.
What's up, boss? How you feeling?
I was feeling all right until you called in. What's going on?
I'm good, man. I see the topic is hot tonight, man.
Of course, they're always hot. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, I was basically hearing you talk about how you started the idea of one. I'm gonna say that afterwards, but one, I see that you're talking about how you were the originator of the idea, but I feel like your
Exactly,
ego
I
was
was. I was
blocking.
the only person with the idea. I'm the strongest person. And like this, I created the term Afrikstan. I created all the thing. I did everything I could to link to show historically why this is necessary, how basically this has been done before. And I basically said, like, I realized that everything we're trying to do in America, integration in America, or the newest thing is let's hide from the white man. I don't care about like that stupid idiot. What's his name? Black. I don't care about. Well, you better care. You live in a country where they're the fucking majority. They're everywhere. They got police everywhere. All of it. You're under their gun. So the bottom line is, there's Negroes who talk the let's do it right here, Negroes, or we could do it right here, Negroes. These are Negroes that believe that we could stay in America and hide from the white man. Can't hide from him. He knows you're there. He can put his hands on you anytime he wants to. You're in his reach.
Yeah,
So
but
I said,
they're not over trying to be around black people like that. That's why they have white flight.
no. That's why they got police and courts and everything like that. They don't care about that. They'll have somebody over you. The people that are prison guards. Those are white
Hmm.
guys who'll whoop your ass. The police that basically will arrest you, shoot you at a traffic stop. Those are fucking white people. They people act like, oh, I don't have to worry about nothing. I ain't around white people. Yes, you are at all times. You know. So that argument is gone. That you can live in America and like that, like this. Anybody thinks like that is a fool and a race trader.
That's not true. If you go down to Atlanta, there's black judges, there's black
Man, don't
lawyers,
give me
there's
that
black
crap,
police.
man. Look, white people are everywhere. They're not, and there's no
They're
place in
there, but I'm saying
America
that like
where
insignificant.
hold on. There's no place in America where their power and their long arm or their law and stuff like that can't get you. You know. And that's what it's all about, man. No matter where you go, there's always gonna be afraid. Like they always say, no matter where you do, there's always gonna be somebody white watching you. They're watching you at all times. They got you. You think you're gonna have peace and peace, and they're gonna leave you alone in America? You look, dude, it's not gonna happen, Principe. That's why I say I
All
don't
right, so
understand
so
why you people from the islands come here, man, because this is definitely a white thing. You know.
it may be that, but that's going to connect to the next topic. But for the most part, there's certain advantages, and there's certain advantages of how they move, in which you can create your own entity, like the Indians and the Arabs are doing, which you don't really have to overdeal with
What
them.
what
But
entity? What entity are you talking about?
there's whole communities where there's primarily Indian people, primarily Indian stores, primarily Latino stores, primarily
Yeah, look.
Chinese.
That's another myth. I've never seen one in my life. All you
Go to
have is
Queens.
like freaking areas that are slums, run down, whatever like that, and they basically have because these people are transporting their culture from their country into America. Most black people are not going to buy or be in a community where they basically buy from an equivalent of a bodega.
What's wrong with
We'd
that?
rather go to a 7-Eleven. We'd rather go to, because we're integrated to American culture. We'd rather go to Kroger, 7-Eleven, Food Lion, and stuff like that to get our food. We're not going to go back to that. You want to take us backwards, Not Not gonna happen. You know.
I'm not trying to take nobody nowhere. I'm saying reality. You telling me all the immigrants live in? That's not true. There's beautiful suburb areas
I
full of.
don't. I've never seen no beautiful. Only immigrants that got nice neighborhoods are the white ones. You know, and
First of all,
The Indians when they move into white areas, when I've never seen no nice majority Hispanic community in America. Never
oh
seen
man, you know they're gonna jump up the rumble with you after saying stuff like that. But they don't even most of them try to buy houses in a group. So it'll take a whole family, 5 of them, 6 of them,
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
buy
oh
a
yeah.
house
But the
together
whole thing about that immigrants is
before they
this:
live in the slums.
you'll have Hispanics, right? Their low standard of living is much lower than ours, right? You'll have one household and you have 20 people living in it. You know, so their
Well,
standard of living is much lower than black people's. You know.
it's better than living in the slums.
Well, the
They
bottom
have
line, hell yeah, but the bottom line is most black people don't live like that. We don't live 20 to a house, you know.
Yeah, but y'all paying
So,
$2,000
so
for a
what I'm
one
saying, no, look,
bedroom. That's not better than living.
that's good for third world people, people coming up to a third world situation, you know, coming to America. Okay, that's better. But Black America, basically, we reached the pinnacle of everything we could do in America. Everything, you know. We had businesses, we had all that, we have top jobs.
Are you
I was talking
speaking
about a
in
couple
general, or are you
of
speaking for
check this out.
yourself and your
Hold on.
family?
Hold on. I have a top. I talked to two of my clients yesterday. I showed them my neighborhood. Nice neighborhood, right? These are all retired black people, right? Nice neighborhood in Chesapeake, Virginia, right? And the lady said, "Yeah, husband basically retired from the Virginia Power Electric, and she retired from Ford, right? They both got good pensions, everything like that. They got a nice house, beautiful house, everything like that, right? Look, that's who we are. Black people basically are holding down these blue collar jobs, and the black people are the only group of people, minority group, that will work 40 years at a place and draw a pension. You know, immigrants don't do that. You know, you'll never see a Chinese or Indian retiring after 40 years of working at the post office. You know, only Black America
This
got
is not
pension.
true. This is not true.
I know
They
it is a
exist
truth.
in
It is a
warehousing.
truth.
They exist
Yo,
in
look,
factory work.
Indians are concerned about education and tech jobs, stuff like
All of
that.
them.
They ain't gonna put they're not gonna put 20 years in the post office or 20 years in the fucking sanitation department or 20 years or 30 years in the freaking being what MTA in New York City, whatever like that. It's not gonna happen, you know. The people who do that are black people, you know. We draw the pay 20, 30 years in the post office. You'll never see that happen. You know, it'll never happen, you know. And so therefore it is what it is. And also even
You
Indians,
generalizing. All of them are not doctors. Some of them work in like offices, federal offices. Some of them work in like
very few folks, you know.
airports. I think you
Yeah,
generalize.
let me put a one in the chat room. Have you ever worked with an Indian or somebody like that? If you ever,
Warehousing. I have worked with Indians, a bunch of them in the
oh
warehousing.
yeah,
They
tell
bring
me if you ever seen an
50,000 out.
Indian. Have you ever seen an Indian or Chinese in a warehouse? Have you ever seen an Indian or Chinese? Hold up.
A Chinese guy got
Principally,
fired because he was
Principally,
stealing time.
Principally, hold up.
He was there for 30 years.
I have never in my life seen a Chinese man at a construction site. You know,
Okay, that you talking about certain fields. I'm talking about in general.
no,
There's
yo,
Indians in the
that's what it
warehousing,
is. That's where the
forklifting.
money is at. You know, it simply says
There's
black
money everywhere,
professional
bro.
employees. Hey, yeah, but those employees, right, that black people have, man, got retirement and pension funds. And when I say like that, we are employees. We never been that people that had businesses and whatnot. That's immigrants to that. Now, in our community, the people who owns businesses mostly were people from the islands, Jamaicans and everybody else. They came from a culture of small shops and stuff like that. We don't friggin' basically, we're not that side of people. So you can't just make us, oh, why don't y'all have look, we're not that. We're basically people who want blue collar jobs and whatnot, so we can have that nice life, house, everything like that, and we can retire. That's who we are. That's the majority of Black America. That's never
But
gonna change.
some police buys. He from Atlanta. They business and hustle down there. If you ever been down there, they
Yeah,
business.
but that's a part of hustle that's struggling, you know.
No,
I would rather look,
they own
instead
doctor
of
doctor
hustling, right?
office.
I would rather I'll be honest with you, right? If I had to do it all over again, right? I would have kept my black ass in New York, right? And I would have went and got my friggin' civil service, took my civil service test, and I'd be like my little cousin Jerome, right?
Yeah.
He's 39 years old, and basically he got almost $1 million in his 401k and pension, and his retirement. He's gonna be making like $50K a month in his retirement. I
That's
wish I
beautiful.
would have done that, you know.
That's beautiful.
Think about it like this. So the bottom line is this: don't tell me about no friggin' jobs, all this stupid stuff. That's what how black people money. My family were blue collar people. We came to New York. My grandfather retired, a wealthy man with a third grade education in Con Edison. You know, so I
Yeah, but
know about people. He retired in North Carolina. The land we got back to his house in North Carolina in 1988 with a $200,000 401k, money in the bank, house paid for, all that shit like that. Sold his house in Queens and went back to this down south when that. So the bottom line is this. So the bottom line, had he went up there talking about trying to get a business started and whatnot, he would have fucking died broke. You know,
but they do that in Atlanta though. They get a lot of hustle
well, that's
business owners,
Atlanta.
doctors,
That's not New York,
chops.
bro. That's not New York.
But
You
you're
know.
gonna have to do that now because you know there's new
Oh
white
no!
refugees
It's
coming,
not
man.
like that. That's why I
There's new.
say. That's why I say I would like to see us build a nation of our own, where we could bring that blue collar energy back to a nation of our own, where we got our industrial base, we have industries, factories, everything like that, where we have a trade off. You bring your skills, and boom, we will a win-win situation for that. That's how we're gonna build our nation. You know.
But there's new white refugees coming, so you're gonna have to organize
I
a
ain't worried
community.
about them. I ain't worried about them. We're way beyond them. I'm not worried about
Kyla,
them.
Kyla, you ever thought you would see the day you see white refugees
Well,
coming
look,
here?
look, bottom line, I knew it was going to eventually. They're not refugees; these are just guests of the white government in America because they're
Oh,
like,
see here you
oh,
got
hold on, hold on,
a
hey, first of all, you got to understand something, right? You guys don't seem to get it. You black immigrants don't seem to get something, right?
what is that?
When you coming over here to America, right? Every time they see your black ass here, right? They're thinking, what? Hold on, they're thinking that's a loss for their race, and they're thinking we're being replaced. They don't see it as you just American trying to you're a new American and stuff like that as you think, right? They're seeing you as an enemy. You know, you're going to dilute their gene pool and stuff like that. So they are always thinking about they're being replaced and stuff like that. So eventually, I'm not even shocked that this happened. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
That's not fully true because I remember I seen a video on Springfield and the white people was complaining that the Haitians over there don't ultra integrate. They have their own segment. They stick
No,
to their
they're not
own
talking about
people.
integrate.
They date their
That's just some
own
bullshit.
women.
They don't want you. They do not want you to integrate, bro. They don't
Exactly. That's my
integrate.
point.
You know, it takes integration means assimilation, and you can't assimilate two different races of people.
Then you got to define integration. But can I touch on one last
Okay,
point? I think
okay. This is how integration is, right? Let me put it to you
yeah,
like this, right? You see a Haitian, right? And
yeah.
what they were complaining about was the fact that a lot of Haitians basically ignore laws, right? They're driving without driver's license, they're doing all kinds of stuff and whatnot. In other words, they're not basically becoming citizens or good residents of the place. That's what I mean by integration. Integration means you follow a certain pattern and you blend in. Don't mean you assimilate. It means you integrate in society. That means you cannot just basically make up your own laws. Like a lot of immigrants, they ignore vending laws and just start setting up shop in the middle of nowhere and start selling stuff without a permit and stuff like that, no taxes, like that, you know. And they say, "Well, I'm making money and whatnot." Well, you're making money, but you're not paying taxes. You're not doing that. You can't. How you going to integrate if you're not doing what they do? You're not paying taxes. You're not following the rules and stuff like this. You understand? That's what they're talking about.
I gotta find a video and post it. But let me make a last point. I think you should be appreciating Dr. Arikana. I gotta
No, I
run to
don't.
work
No, I don't.
because she was helping you accomplish your idea. She has
Look. Bottom line is this: I have my own idea. I know
no, it's yours.
exactly
It was
what.
your idea, but she was helping you accomplish it. You
I
gotta
don't think
understand.
she's gonna help me with college. She don't know who I am. She don't know who I
No,
am.
but we the ones with the connections on the ground though. You
Listen,
don't have
I
the
look,
connections
look,
on the
look, I
ground.
got connections on the ground in what country I'm dealing with. I got
She was the
connections.
president of the AU though.
Yeah,
She
but
could have
those
connected you.
like I told you, those organizations are useless to us. You
Bro,
know.
she got your man sitting right next to Mugambi.
Yeah,
How's that useless?
hold up. My guy is like this. Look, Mr. Rosenthal does his thing with the Bullion Bank. He's connected. His real power comes from those Koreans and those other people, the Lords of London, all those people he works with. You know, and ain't no damn Dr. Arcana. You know.
So she's connecting you to the people on the
No,
ground. I
no,
think
no, no.
you got
She's
a
not
big
connected
ego,
to
man.
nobody. Look, I introduced Rosenthal to the Angolan people, Celeste, and my partner's Angola, long before he met Dr. Arcana. So, the bottom line, I brought Rosenthal to Liberia, you know? And so, the bottom line, this was years, 6, 7 years before he met Dr. Arcana. So, this idea she's doing so much. We was already doing all this damn shit before she popped on the scene. She's a Johnny come lately, you know?
And she also like if it was ever international coverage, she would actually help protect you. I doubt you will stand there and take the blunt
Protect
hits
from what?
of
Protect from what?
international pressures
Oh, now look,
sanctions.
I'm ready. Look, I'm
People
ready. Look,
taking your
I'm
passport.
a college Genesis. I'm ready for everything, man.
Oh,
Let me see.
Colin, come
Somebody,
on, man.
somebody Million said, as a South African, it's a funny conversation. Fortunately, 49 have come and were met to be 67K that they ain't leaving. Guess they ain't leaving. I don't know, man. See, the South Africans, you need to call in, explain yourself. Everybody think Donald Trump thinks you guys are just so weak and so stupid. I know the Afrikaners. The one thing about the Boers and Afrikaners is they're the most stubborn people in the freaking world. They're not going to give up that country just like that. The country their ancestors.
They're not really fully getting persecuted. They're like basically softly requesting that they give some of the land and
No, no.
reorganize the country.
The bottom line is this: no, it's all about the fact that they live in a country that they don't control. You know, they can't deal with that shit.
They
You know,
still heavily control a lot of elements in the economic sector.
they control all the elements of the economic sector. We talk about
I wouldn't say
some.
all. That's
Yeah,
why some of them are frustrated.
they control what you call everything. If you see a black person doing anything, he has white African partners. You know. Oh, let me get Ben Yusuf on. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ben.
Carl, I gotta run, man. God bless you. Have a
All
good
right,
show,
bro.
man. Keep rumbling, bro.
All right, bro. All right. What's up, Ben?
Yeah, yeah. What's up now? I was gonna say those Africans he's bringing over, those South Africans, Afrikaners, that they must be the really the poor of the poor because, like he was saying, they have the whites in South Africa are living house the hog, and if you
Yeah.
can't make it in South Africa, you must really be bogging out some white trash. So
Yeah.
he just
So these
bringing over.
people, what America's, what all these people celebrating, going to find out in a year when these people start showing who they really are, when not, you know. And I feel sorry for the community that they go into. You know, when they start showing who they really are, and they
Are they
start
going to
having
a trailer park? They'll fit right in with the meth,
no, but the
you
trailer
know.
park people. One thing about trailer park white people, they work. You know, they don't
Uh-huh.
have they were. I seen this one video of a matter of fact. I'm gonna try to find this. Let me try to find this. Go ahead, talk, Ben. I'm gonna try to find this video.
No,
I'm gonna
no,
try.
that's pretty much what I wanted to say on that point.
hold up, folks. Now, here's this guy. This was 2019, right? This guy basically said he was gonna host a white family because they will be discriminated against, right? Okay.
I'm in the process of sponsoring a family that is fleeing South Africa due to the white genocide. I am not going to let a white group of people suffer and not help them because I've been bullied into not giving a shit. That ain't me. Wrong dude. Don't care. These people want to be Americans. They don't want to be South Africans anymore because that country was given over the minute that fucking cocksucking communist Mandela was let out of prison. They're going to live in my house, and I'm going to fucking feed them and take care of them. Suffice to say that I got involved in the abuse of the minority white race in South Africa a couple of years ago. Got heavily involved. Ultimately ended up sponsoring a family of 4 and help facilitate them from Africa. And obviously, it turned out bad. They did play me, and they admit. In fact, that was one of the things they said was they're bragging about how they played me like a sport game. I spent over $30,000 in that 11 months in money and fed and clothed them. So I might be stupid enough to have fallen for that because I thought with my heart instead of my head. You know what? They cost me a lot of money when they were here, suck and parasite and use people. And then when they're done, they just fucking, go on to the next fucking victim. When they talk to me, it's like, hey, we're a good family. We own a business and we're hardworking people. And, when we get to America, the way we'll pay the rent will be, we'll work for you guys, all right. If anything, we had to work 10 times as hard just to fucking take care of these people. I mean, in 11 months, I got my grass cut 3 times. One time ended up being in a huge argument. Everything fucking free. Lay around, watch TV, and watch fucking movies for 11 months. And I'm in the process of sponsoring.
Now you get that? Yo, these Afrikaners, they don't know what they just did. These people that's coming here are lazy. They're not the ones that's working the farm. These are lazy people who are playing. They know white people in America are sympathetic in their racism, but the white American is going to find out real quick when they start dealing with these people. They're going to like, what the hell are you doing, man? When they come there and they start eating up all your food and doing all kinds of crazy shit and whatnot, you're gonna find out. They're gonna find out. So so this guy right here spent $30,000 in 1 year on hosting an Afrikaner family and whatnot because they said we were being persecuted and whatnot. They're being played. They know the white Afrikaners got a support system in America, and they got the president that's gonna freaking help them out get here, and they know they're gonna suck the American public dry and whatnot. Not gonna be sucking me dry because I don't give 2 shits about them, But white Americans are gonna be. They're gonna have all kinds of GoFundmes and everything out here because they're gonna get this sympathy from white people because they're white.
Be like the Ukrainians.
Yeah, they're white, and that's why I try to tell you FBA people when I tell these people that say I'm a foundational Black American, and all those kinds of stuff. Man, no one cares about what you think you're a foundation of. The only thing they care about is you're either you're black or white. That's all they care about. That's what we're facing in America. So it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. Yeah. So what else? What do you think about this topic? What do you think about them coming here, Ben?
It's typical like they deal with the Italian and the Irish. You know what I mean? So it's just like a PR stunt. I guess Trump's throwing them a bone to show that he's kicking out the melanated people and he's letting the white folks in.
Yeah, the bottom line, he's saying if you could bring all these people of color in, why can't we bring some white people in?
Yeah, and why is he bringing the South Africans in? They ain't in no war or nothing. So what's their excuse?
Well, he's saying they're being persecuted, genocide, which is not true. Man, you always see all these fat Afrikaners walking around healthy, fat, and well fed, talking about they're facing persecution.
No, they living real good over there. You know what I'm saying? It's like Brazil. You got the straight people with money and those who don't.
The white South Africans got all the wealth, everything like that.
Yeah. They got the same thing in Australia. They call them bogans. The kind of
Yeah.
whites that live out there in the outback,
Yeah. So yeah, but the thing is, like I said, a lot of these people, there's this myth about the so-called Afrikaner farmer. There only is like around a few thousand so-called farmers. The rest of them are working city jobs, and now you got to compete. You got to compete.
Oh man, I seen some programs back in the day. This is some years back. Of a lot of them South African white South Africans living bad. They out there on the outskirts, like living
Yeah,
in
yeah.
some
Those
kind.
are the people. But you understand something? Back in apartheid days, you're South Africa, you were guaranteed a check from the state subsidy when the apartheid government fell. All that money was dried up. You were on your own. White South Africans, no matter how poor they were getting subsidized by the state. They even gave them subsidies to hire black domestic workers. So it was just like a white heaven. You had money to basically
Oh yeah, something to
hire
see.
white black domestic workers. The government subsidized it.
No, it's something to feed their ego. You know what I mean? So yeah, they had to be subsidized. So like I said, when they get over here, I don't know what, but how many they bringing over?
Well, they said 8,000 are on their way.
Oh Jesus! So that
That's a
mean they
lot.
gonna be
It's a
on.
lot of people. I don't wait. Like I said, so when I'm here, Elon Musk is building a town, in Texas, somewhere in Texas, where they could relocate to and whatnot. But I doubt these are the ones that's going to be doing any farming. What are they going to do? They're going to be taking care of rent free for a whole year. So they got a whole year. We'll have to wait and see what happens when that year is up.
Oh yeah, well they just get on welfare then. They'll be the new welfare queens, as they like to call us. So
Yeah. So it is what it is. I tell you what, it is what it is. But but Black America is not looking too good right now. It's not looking too good for us. Because we're clearly no one gives a fuck. Biden brought all the Ukrainians in and Afghans in. We're not now. Trump's doing this, whatever. The Democrats are bringing all these other people from all over. The bottom line, Black America is being overrun. Overrun with this third world shit. That's all it is. Third world migration to America. That's all it is. Third world migration to America is probably our biggest threat.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like the Romans, barbarians at the gate.
yeah. But the bottom line, like I said, Black people in America, if we don't, something that doesn't give, man, we won't have a future. But no one's even talking about our future. Somebody said going forward, who's this? Baruti. Going forward, Trump wants to rebolster your ethno majority. No shit. Europe Protestant people instead of non-European. Geez, Baruti, man, thanks for telling something we don't already know. Of course he wants to bring more white people in. That's obvious. More white people in is a good thing according to them. They're bringing their numbers up. They're not going to let more black people in. That's why I said I don't understand why people from black countries migrate to America. That right there, I don't really understand. Like people like Principe, he thinks that he's gonna just come there and do his thing. He's gonna hide from the white man. Ain't no hiding from the white man. He knows you're there. He knows exactly where you're at. He's watching you and look at you, observing you at all times. So you're never gonna have any peace and sanctuary in America. People think that these black immigrants, because they live in like the old areas, so they don't have to basically deal with white people like that, where they think white people don't exist. Or they exist. You saw that in Springfield, Ohio, right? White people are there. They know you're there. They can see you. And what they see is they don't like what they see. They don't like. So we black people in America, we know that. We avoid them, but we still know they're there. They ain't going nowhere, and we're not going nowhere. We can't hide from the white man in America. So it is what it is. We'll put the link in the chat room. Anybody want to call in and talk about this topic? Talking about the white Afrikaners, Yeah, we're talking about the white Afrikaners. See, I know why they're here. Do you understand why they're here? Why is it that they're here and they're trying to get rid of all these POCs? They basically got DACA kids, right? They've been here, born here, and everything like that. Been here 25 years old, been here their whole life, getting picked up and rounded up and deported when not, sending them back to fucking poverty and war zones countries and whatnot. But you're going to bring these people in here, these privileged white people here and whatnot. Does this tell you right here what America's all about? Do you have any doubt in anybody that America's like? So how can you call yourself a foundational Black American after all this? Are you still proud to be an American after this happened? How does that make you feel about the country you swore allegiance to? That's showing favoritism to another race. Carl, how can you say that? I'm just telling the truth. How do you feel about that? A lot of Black people don't like me asking that question because they're like, man, I didn't think about that. Of course you don't. Look, I'm like this. I understand why you do, right? Because America is like that parent that you have, right? You ever have a kid, right? His parents neglect him, beat him, or like that. But the kid's not thinking about getting revenge on his parents. All the thing the kid wants to do is that his parent treat him nice. Or when he sees his parents fighting, he just wants his parents to get along. He don't care about who's right or wrong. He loves his mom and dad. That's how you see America. You don't care about what America did in the past. You just love this country because it's a country you were born in. I understand that. I get that. I understand it. I understand why you think like that. I understand my people, I understand why, no matter what America does, you still got a love for this country, whatever like that. I get it, because just like a parent, your parent could abuse a kid, a child, and everything like that. Child's still going to love it, It is what it is, Can Black people define themselves without pushback for another human, especially supposed to spell a Black? I don't know, brother. If you want to call in, come in and talk to you. I don't know what you're saying, Devin has been bringing over 2 million illegals a year. Now you're crying over a few thousand crackers from South Africa. I ain't crying over it, I ain't crying over it. I could care less, it don't matter to me one bit. But, the people who think America's a fair society, they ought to be freaking worried, So if you want to call in, step right up, folks, Step right up. Let's see. Oh, we got Elvis on the line. Oh, Lord. Go ahead, Elvis. Elvis, you're on. I guess Elvis' phone's not working. America's never been fair, Sav 90. America's never been fair, and you don't care because that's your country. You don't care how fair it's not, So, all right, Elvis, go ahead. You want to speak? So if you're not going to speak, well, should I drop you down? Elvis don't want to speak, so I'll just drop him down backstage. I don't know what happened to him. He didn't pay his phone bill. It's more love of self. I don't think most Black people love America. Well, negative. No, I think I disagree. I think Black people love themselves from America. I had J Mall on the other night, man. That is a Captain America Negro if I would see one. That nigga turned on me. That nigga's a Captain America. All he knows is this 4th of July. He's been eating some ribs and frying some chicken, whatever like that. Shooting some fireworks, whatnot, enjoying American infrastructure, It don't take much. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you see, you agreed with me earlier today, and now, because what I was saying is what you're saying now.
What did I say?
That those guys are lying, talking about they're getting, discriminated against, and they've been, they're at risk of genocide and all of that nonsense.
Yeah, but the thing is, like what Dimes was saying, that's 99% of all asylum things are corrupt. Most people claim asylum or lying. You know.
How y'all doing?
What's up,
But
Marcus?
the point here is
So
you
only
gotta get
people POCs could be people silent. Come
you
on,
can't let somebody
Elvis.
finish a sentence. You have to get the numbers and show us that
I'm just telling.
99% of asylum seekers get accepted. Tell us how many
No,
asylum
it's
seekers
like
get
you hold
denied.
on. Look, Elvis. I seen one asylum seeker from Africa, right? And they'll coach him. They told him to say he was gay. That's a new thing now. If you're LGBT, in the Biden administration, if you're LGBTQ, all you have to do is you say you're gay. One guy said, "I'm not gay, but I gotta say I'm gay." When they interview him from asylum, he said he was gay, and then he goes back to his country and gonna be killed. You know. So hold on. You want me to play a video, Elvis?
Look, you're gonna make me cough up my water, man. Shit.
That's it. So people will do
Hey,
anything to
Carla.
get in America, bro.
Hey, Carla. What's up? Let me, if I could get in on this. I got a little bit of insight on these these Afrikaner
Oh
farmers.
boy. Oh boy.
If you don't mind, but
Go ahead.
my whole thing is this. I think that the only thing that what they're gonna realize is that say what you want to about these Afrikaners, they're shrewd business people.
No,
They're
they're
real
not.
shrewd.
No, they're not.
No, they are. They're just like the Russians in the trucking
No,
industry
they're
in the
not.
United
Hold on.
No,
States.
they not.
It's like
Did you see that video I just played? Did you hear that video, TikTok I just played?
Them
I
motherfuckers
didn't see the
red.
video, but just
Yeah,
let me
hold on.
make my
Hold
point.
on. Let me play this TikTok for you again.
Okay, you can play the video, but then I
Let me
still got
play
to
this,
make my
hold on.
point.
Let me play the TikTok for you again. Then you say that, okay? All right. This is happening. This is
A
2018.
family that is fleeing South Africa due to the white genocide. I am not going to let a white group of people suffer and not help them because I've been bullied into not giving a shit. That ain't me. Wrong dude. Don't care. These people want to be Americans. They don't want to be South Africans anymore because that country was given over the minute that fucking cocksucking communist Mandela was let out of prison. They're going to live in my house, and I'm going to fucking feed them and take care of them. Suffice to say that I got involved in the abuse of the minority white race in South Africa a couple of years ago. Got heavily involved. Ultimately ended up sponsoring a family of four and help facilitate them from Africa. And obviously, it turned out bad. They did play me, and they admit. In fact, that was one of the things they said was they're bragging about how they played me like a sport game. I spent over $30,000 in 11 months in money and fed and clothed them. So I might be stupid enough to have fallen for that because I thought with my heart instead of my head. You know what? They cost me a lot of money when they were here, suck and parasite and use people, and then when they're done, they just fucking, go on to the next fucking victim. When they talk to me, it's like, hey, we're a good family, we own a business, and we're hardworking people, and when we get to America, the way we'll pay the rent will be we'll work for you guys, all right. If anything, we had to work 10 times as hard just to fucking take care of these people. I mean, in 11 months, I got my grass cut 3 times. One time ended up being in a huge argument. Everything fucking watch TV and watch fucking movies for 11 months. And in the process of sponsoring a family that is fleeing South Africa due to the white genocide.
See, that's
Okay, now let me say this, Carla.
Quintessential Captain America Negro.
what you say?
I said, is that the quintessential Captain America Negro?
No, that's a white guy.
Oh, that's a white guy. I thought that was a black guy. Okay, I couldn't see the
No, that was
video.
a white
Hold
guy.
on, hold on. Let me say this. Let me say this, Carla. See, here's my prediction of what's going to happen with them, is that because you know how a lot of them are into that agriculture. There's a guy.
No, these people coming over here. The people that's in agriculture are staying right there in Africa where they can make money.
Yeah, but you never know. Some of them might slip over here. And my whole thing is this: if it's just like the Russian.
They don't have
Hold on. Let me finish, Carla. It's just like the Russians in the trucking industry, right? They started coming over here in the early 1990s, and a few of them, at first they was driving for the American companies, and then they learned how to get their DOT number and their authority and stuff, and they started getting trucks and starting their own little companies and stuff. Now you can go to Chicago and there's literally thousands of fly by night Russian trucking companies, and they've taken the industry over to the point where they putting so many trucks on the road that they drive the price of the freight down. That's why the truck drivers today, they say that they can't make no living because in a bit, because the trucking is not what it used to be, and it's because these Russians.
Yeah,
It's because of these
talk about
Russians.
that. Let Hustle Smart comes on. He's
I
a
just know
trucking guy.
this.
Okay,
I know
okay,
this.
no,
Let me get Marcus.
I know that because I'm in trucking.
I
Okay,
know
I got a
this.
lot of
Let me get Marcus
information.
on.
I'm a truck driver
But
myself.
Let me get
look,
Marcus on. Go ahead, Marcus.
America does not fuck with us, Black Americans, just Black people from it. It took me a minute to really like see this shit from the Mexicans, how they let the Mexicans in willy nilly, the white South African in willy nilly. Hell, a couple years ago, we let Afghanistan motherfuckers in willy nilly, getting them $25 hour jobs and shit. They went back to
Yeah.
Afghanistan because they don't fuck with us. So, but what's the plan? That's what I want to know. Like,
Okay, but see, let me finish with this, Carla. The thing is, they don't need a bunch of number one, you already have white South African farmers in America working for white American farmers. When you go past these cattle farms and stuff like that, those guys out there riding those horses, herding those Black Angus cattle around, a lot of those are white South Africans. They're not even Americans.
I don't know about that. I
And
never
and
heard that.
here's the
Hold on.
thing.
You got video proof?
No. You can look it up, but I'm on my phone right now. I got to get back. I got to get back on
come
my
on,
desktop.
Alice,
No, but see, here's the thing. The reason I know. Wait, hold on, Colin.
Invitation to come.
You can look up a video, right?
I
Look
can't
up
look
Greg.
shit, man. You said it.
Okay, but my thing is this. Okay, there's a guy on YouTube. He's a regenerative rancher. His name is Greg Judy. He's an old white dude in Missouri. He got 300 South Pole cattle. South Pole cattle, they're like lightweight cattle that they're like a lightweight breed of cattle. They're trying to sell them, and they're real heat tolerant, so they're trying to sell them in the South. Well, he does seminars because I've watched a lot of his videos. He does a lot of seminars with this South African rancher guy, and I've seen several seminars that he's done where him and this South African rancher guy, they go and they give seminars to like white American farmers and stuff, and they talk about different strategies and stuff of raising cattle and different agricultural strategies and stuff to make money. But the thing is, no, what you need to understand, College, is they're already here. They've been here. They've been here for a few decades at this point. A lot of them Go ahead.
They're not here in large numbers, bro.
It don't really matter how big numbers that they hear. The thing is, this is I'm gonna get to my point is that.
So you're gonna look at that group of people, the freshman class people, telling me they're gonna save American agriculture.
I'm not talking about those people. You got to let me get to my point, though. My point is this, Carla, is what's gonna mess them up, and this is my prediction, was a lot of those white South Africans, if they start fucking with certain industries, okay, they don't all have to be fucking farmers. Just like when the Russians came over here, they weren't all fucking truck drivers when they fucking came over here. Okay, it was a few of them that drove trucks, and then they taught their cousin and their brother how to drive a truck. Now you got thousands over here driving trucks. They don't all have to be in agriculture. You just need a couple of them to come over here. You look at these co-ops around the country. Okay, they might put together. Trump is going to give these people some type of money. Okay, what immigrants do with money is they use money just like the Russians. When the Russians got their money when they came over here after the Soviet Union fell, they took that money and they went and bought trucks. Okay, right, it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same thing with these white South Africans. They're gonna try to.
You're hogging the mic, man.
They're gonna try to buy up these co-ops. That's all I'm gonna say. Go ahead.
Elvis, go ahead. What you saying?
No, you got Marcus. Marcus want to come in. You can let him go.
I was just saying, they letting all these motherfuckers in. They letting these white South Africans in. That shows this plain view. Whatever, these people don't fuck with it. They don't fuck with it.
Yeah.
They don't fuck with Black people.
Me personally, I could care less, right? Why? Because the fact of the matter is, You have all these Hispanics in here. They got like AOC. She's been trying to get her people in here by the millions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some
Uh-huh.
bias, But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, they got black immigrants, right? And in the Congressional Black Caucus, who've
Mm-hmm.
been trying to get black immigrants in here by large numbers, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, then you got Arabs and the Middle Easterners, Farag, that guy Farag, whatever his name is, right?
Yeah.
He's very pro-Arab. Well, he wants his Arab brother in here in large numbers. Every group of people, minority group, or Asians wanted more Asians here. It's a numbers game, right? So why is it that people are shocked when white people say, something? I think and knowing fully well that a lot of asylum claims are bullshit, right? Most white people know that asylum there's no genocide in South Africa.
No genocide. Yeah.
But they simply know that it's an excuse for them to bring white people here by large numbers. If they could bring like 2 million white people here and like 2 million white women of childbearing age right here, that's their numbers is going to look good. If they
Yeah,
would
but they
kill,
numbers went down.
that's what they're looking at. If you bring like 2 million of those women here of childbearing years, you got something. You got a balance in the freaking thing. So black Americans stick
All right.
together. Black
All right.
color,
Well,
the immigrants, they should all focus up.
I'll say this, Colin, and I say this. Look, if they get into like buying up the agricultural co-ops and they start buying that shit up,
They're not coming here for that. They're coming over here to show up the white people's numbers. They don't have to do anything.
you don't know that. You don't know what kind
I
of
do know
industry
that,
they're gonna get involved in.
So the whites in South Africa you see right here were just basically people used by the apartheid government for their numbers.
Uh-huh.
They needed numbers, right? That's
They
why
don't have a lot of numbers. There's not a lot of them.
a lot of these whites are not even Afrikaners. They're British origin. They're German.
Yeah, look, I already know who the white South Africans are. Okay, I already read the history.
So the bottom line is they're not trying to, and also a lot of these people aren't anything with the farm. People, the stereotype of the Boer farmer. A lot of most Afrikaners are not even in the farming. That's what they're known for.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. If they get into that industry, if they start buying up these co-ops, right, and then the price of like the feed and the corn and stuff starts going up, these white folks will get pissed off with them. These white American farmers gonna get pissed off with them. They will. They will get real pissed off with them if they get into, just like they're getting pissed off at the Russians now, because the Russians they driving down all the prices of the trucking industry now. They want these Russians. That's because you guys are not involved in these industries. You guys are not involved in industries. You sitting up here talking about blue collar jobs in Africa.
Who controls Yellow Freight? Company like
Yellow Freight is out of business. My daddy.
Yeah, but check this out.
My daddy used to work for Yellow Freight. They went out of business last year.
They cleared to prop up the numbers.
Did the Russians destroy Yellow Freight, or just mismanagement over the years?
Mismanagement.
Yellow Freight is out of business.
Yeah.
What the Russians do, it does affect all those trucking companies to an extent. Because what they do is they put so many damn trucks on the road.
You sound like those conspiracy Negroes, like the other guy.
No, that's not a conspiracy. To anyone in trucking, if you bring Hustle Smart up here, he'll say the same thing. Hustle Smart, Hustle Smart will tell you the same thing. But bring him up here. He'll tell you the same thing. You don't have to believe me. I'm not saying believe me. Do your own research. But bring Hustle Smart up here. He'll tell you the same exact shit.
I know for a fact
I'm telling
there's many different factors. But I
That's
hate
the
it.
Go get him. Go get Hustle Smart.
I'll try to narrow down.
You don't have to believe me. I don't care if you believe me or not.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what they doing. I'm gonna tell you what they doing. They, like what Kyler said, they popping up the numbers. They did it with the Dagos, the Greasy Balls. They did it with the Islanders. They did it. You say they did it with the Latino, and they gonna do it with the Africaners, wherever the fuck they are. They popping up their numbers.
Look, I don't care about they numbers. Okay, I don't even care about that side of it. I'm looking at the industry side of it. I know whatever industries that they whatever industries they get involved in.
But
okay,
why are you so serious?
If they start to change those industries, people will blame them for that, and then they'll be like, "Why did Trump why did Trump let these South Africans up in here?" Just like they doing with the Russians right now.
Man,
Just
Every
like,
group of
just
people
like,
got
just
their own
like,
industry
just
in
like they
America.
kicking out the, just like they kicking out the Latinos and stuff right now. Ronald Reagan let all them Latinos in here. He let 3 million of them in here. Now they
It's,
pissed off that he
it's
did it.
too
Now they
late now. I
sorry
would
that
say
they
it's
did
too
it.
late now. It's 40, 50
No, hold
million.
Yeah,
on. No, hold
now
on.
they sorry.
People are
Now
pissed
they
It's
off.
too
sorry
late
that they
now.
did that.
People are pissed not about the immigrants. They're pissed about the but there was a bunch of killings done by people here illegally, gangs and stuff like that. That's what people are pissed off. You know.
But they've been doing that for years. They've been doing killings for years. The
Oh,
killings
no,
is not
not on the
nothing new.
level, not the level it was the last couple of
Yes,
years.
they have. I'm from Southern
I
California. I
don't
tell
know.
you, Latinos, they've
We
been.
didn't have MS-13, Trinidad and Aragua, and all these
Yeah,
people.
yeah, we had that.
Look, they were
MS-13
basically
been around since the
controlling.
'80s.
They were basically controlling a
Yeah,
fucking whole
MS-13 been around,
city.
Tyler. Tyler,
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
know
yeah.
MS-13.
MS-13.
And see, here's the
Hold up,
thing,
hold up.
Caleb.
Tyler,
Hold on.
MS-13.
When MS-13,
They
look, MS-13 was founded in California back in the late '80s, but it was never on the level it is right now. It was
No, it
never
was.
this
I mean,
powerful.
it was the heyday was like in the early 2000s, bro. And
Yeah, they got powerful in the early 2000s. They've been around since the late '80s. You know.
yeah, it's been out. Yeah, they've
It's
been out.
but the bottom line, I'm talking about now, being a global thing where they take over whole neighborhoods and shit like that. That's
In
something
America,
new.
I ain't never heard no MS-13 take over a whole neighborhood. In
No, in
America,
places like Long Island, New York, they
oh,
do
they
it.
in Long
You know,
Island.
no, they took over Long Island.
I know they in
Virginia,
DC.
places like Long Island, whatnot, where you got a large immigrant population. Yeah, they rule these places. You know,
You
that's
know,
something new.
and yeah,
That's something new. That wasn't happening. We always had gangs, but they weren't this powerful before. Now the prison gangs run the streets. You know, before it was like, okay, you went to jail, that was it. Now the gangs headquarters are in the prisons. You know, in the prison, yeah, you can't stop it. You know, that's why they create that supermax prison to cut them off. When they took that supermax prison, what they did was they cut all the leadership off from the people, and that's why the MS-13 is dying right now. You know, because that supermax prison in El Salvador. People can't say nothing. They're in there, whatnot. They have no say so. No, they can't even speak to each other. You know, that's how they will communicate with each other globally. You know, that's no case. That's dying right now. You know, they got that powerful, right? Governments could not do anything with them. You know, South Africans are experienced. I see them defending
yeah,
Iran. Look. I have no problem with Irania. If they want to live by themselves in that little fucking little enclave, leave them the fuck alone. You know, like I say, I'll say, you say, Assad said, imagine black America going to Iran. We should be doing that, creating our own city, but we can't even create a city no place. We should be building our own cities all over the world. You know, don't get mad at what white people do and the fucking you don't want to do. You know, you would rather sit here and wait for a reparations check on the white man. You know, the Afrikstan has every idea about building cities for Black America globally. You know, they will let us do that shit. Yeah, it don't matter what they let you do. You do it. You know, that's what it is. They don't let us do. I don't care what they let us do. I'm gonna do it regardless what they let us do. You let them come try to stop us. You know, got too many. You got too many weak cowards with this. Save 97. Are you a female? You must be a female. You know, that's how women talk. They gonna let us do that, daddy. You know. Oh, you talking college Genesis? I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do. I don't give a damn who doesn't like it. You know.
yeah. But see, it's like I said, you have to
Yeah.
look at, and they have to really look at that because, like I said, they just got here, so you don't know what they're gonna do yet.
I could
Okay,
care less. Look, honestly, man, I am not losing no sleep over them. I'm
it's not
just
about
shocked that
losing
black
sleep
people
over them.
are
It's
actually.
about what my prediction is this: the white folks gonna turn on them because
No, they not.
they gonna start fucking with the
No, they
white
not.
folks' money. Watch,
No, they
No,
it's
it's
not.
not. No,
just
it's
like
not.
they did that dude.
White people are not like
That
that. People always say that,
that
right?
dude
Look,
that dude.
white people are racist, right? It's them no matter what. Like you said, people say, "Oh yeah, white people are gonna turn on Italians because they got mafia."
No,
Never happened.
what
You know?
caused white folks to go to war with each other is when they start fucking with each other's money.
No, they not.
No,
They're not.
no,
No, they
Okay,
not.
no. It's not.
No, they not.
okay, that white dude in that video you said, he brought them South Africans
But
up
he
there,
didn't go to war with them. He just say, "Look, he kicked them to the curb." He didn't go to
he
war.
gave him $30,000 and they
Yeah,
didn't even want to
well,
cut
hold on.
his.
The bottom line is, look, white America is not going to go to war with these white Afrikaners. It's not gonna happen.
And then they didn't even want to cut his
Bro, you
grass
from America,
after
bro.
the
Check this out.
$30,000. They didn't even want to
Check
cut
this
his damn
out.
grass.
Check this out. White people move as a unit. with the
No,
Italians,
they
with the
don't.
Irish.
Why?
In
Not.
In America, right now, yes, they move as a movement. Now you talking about
No,
in the
they
20s?
don't.
Hold on,
You think that?
in the 20s and the 30s, that's different. But right now, they move as a unit.
No.
I don't know
Here's
what
what
you're
you need to
talking about.
understand, right? Right. About white folks, right? White folks are separated based on profession
No, the hell,
and
no, the hell they're
class.
not. No, they're not.
Okay,
Man, what
because
the
what it
fuck?
Hey, yo,
is
that
like
race, no, that white skin, that
if you
white
look at
skin,
the upper middle class
what
whites,
you
right?
know
Like
about
the
them, bro, is what
okay, yeah,
that white skin unifies them beyond class,
yeah,
transcends
but
class, everything like
the wealthy
other
whites,
white
they're not
people are just as white as the fucking white
they're
people that.
not doing nothing for like the poor whites is dying of
So
meth.
the
They're not
poor,
doing
yo,
nothing for them.
check this out. You go listen to
They're not doing nothing for them.
Johnny Rebel saw it. He
They
says,
just letting them rot.
I'm just a little rebel. That's just what I am. He goes, I'd rather be poor and free. In other words, white people who are poor basically will side with their white people who are rich over you. You know, that's how it is. That's how strong that unity
I
is.
don't need them to side with me. What I'm saying is this: is that
Hold on. The white people are not going to side with anybody other than white people who are power. That's why they voted for Donald Trump.
okay? But here's what you need to understand: is that this meth epidemic that they got, that's worse than the crack epidemic. Crack epidemic only lasted for 1 decade. It was from like 1983 to like 1989, and it was over. Okay,
You know, but
with this
about.
meth shit has been going on for 2 decades, and they
The
still
bottom line
haven't
is,
stopped
hold
it.
on. Then how did they elect Donald Trump?
And they still haven't stopped it. You got whole towns out here devastated.
How did they come together? If they're so cracked on meth, how did they come together
No,
and fucking overwhelmingly elect Donald Trump?
they didn't do shit for Donald Trump. Donald Trump was going to get elected anyway. You know who
Who
elected the
elected him?
middle class? It was the middle class.
Who
No,
voted for him? Who
it
elected him?
was the middle class and business owners that elected Donald Trump. Wasn't no damn fucking
No.
meth. Wasn't no
Matt,
damn
that was
fucking
the
meth
that he had
heads.
was the large numbers of white
Wasn't
people in America.
no meth heads that elected Donald Trump. It was the middle
It was
class
all
and
of them. It
business
was
owners.
all of them. You didn't get it,
And it was black men. There
There was no
you
damn
go.
black man. It
There
was
you go. There you
majority
go,
of white
Kala.
people. Oh,
Process that, Kala.
yeah, process what? All right, Dama, you're being goofy. You know, when you start being goofy, it's time for you to go. Bye, Dama. Good night. You know, you're being goofy. You know, and saying, "How the hell?"
Damn,
Dama's a closet Captain America Negro.
you
He's
kicked
a
them
closet.
out.
Yeah, I just put him down, man. He's being silly. Talking
Damn.
about what it was because white people are fucking disunified. White people are the most unified. White America is the most unified race of people on the fucking planet.
Them
You
and the
know,
Chinese, yeah.
yeah, they're the most unified freaking people on the planet.
White people and the Chinese and Asians.
White people only see white. That's all they see. They don't see nothing else. They don't care about income. They don't care about profession. All they care about is white. You got Negroes out there. I'm a PhD. When I could move it to a white, and then they get a cross
No, you
person.
can't.
I don't mean
Still a
shit.
nigga. Still a nigga.
You're still a nigga. I guess Adama hasn't seen that video with Jay-Z. OJ, I'm OJ. I'm not black. I'm OJ. Remember that?
Yep.
That's how it is. America is so racially tribalized. That's the way about tribalism. Tribalism is unforgiving. If you ain't born to that tribe,
I tell people that racism is just an evolution of a tribalism. Humans are naturally tribalistic beings. You
and the
understand?
bottom line, and when they bring these Afrikaners in, all they're doing is joining a white family.
Yep. And they already Germanic. Most white people in America are Germanic people.
Yeah, Western
Never stop.
Europeans. They're the
Yeah,
same racial
British,
stock.
German, Dutch.
They're the same racial stock as the Afrikaners.
They're not Italians. They're not even them. They're not even the greaseball ones. They from the same stock. So they definitely gonna assimilate.
Yeah. So yeah,
They Protestant. They're not even they Protestant Germanic people. Similar culture and history. So I don't know what the fuck he talking about.
What the hell he's talking about, man? He's just a weird dude, man.
You're crazy.
White people look at America as a refuge for the people of Europe. Yeah, it is, man. Everything when you see a Statue of Liberty and Negroes get all pride, no, the Statue of Liberty was pointed to where Europe, right?
Yeah.
It's basically pointing to Europe, saying, "Come here." It's a land of liberty. It was never pointed to Africa. Doesn't face Asia.
Man, we better hurry up and get a plan because the Captain America motherfuckers, they assimilate more and more. I think there's gonna be, me and my partner came up with this. I think Black America might have their own like La Raja, major La Raja.
I think Black America is gonna split. You know, there's gonna be these
Yeah.
Captain America FBA types and people who are Black nationalists. They're gonna split
And them
finally.
two,
You
yeah,
know?
that's what I'm saying. Black, they gonna have
And I
Black
have no
niggas.
problem with that, right? You know, because it's like plenty of Black people. If some people want to go their own way, why these people don't want us to do anything but other than sit here and be under the thumb of the white man forever or whatnot, you know? So,
True.
like I said, no, we need to think beyond America. Did you see the thing I was showing, which Rosenthal, Dr. Arikana, the idea of an Afrikstan came from me, the BAL.
It's time. It's time to go be in a global society.
Yeah,
to be in a global society, we stuck in this cage.
we're limited. See how the whites coming over here. What's this saying? Is that white people, other people got options.
Yeah.
Only the Black American people want us to be just in a prison, you know, called America.
And we the most imprisoned race. Think about it.
And you know what gets me is Black people always sitting there talking about how they're oppressed and look at Phil Scott, them people, them folks, and racism, and also you know, Rashid Wiley and all the people talking about racism in America. Is that all time Trump and like, okay, well, let's talk about
do something about
Black people going someplace else and building.
But I think
we can't do that. We were born here, blah blah blah. I ain't going nowhere. You know.
I think Black people, like I said, we came up with this theory that like we got this like almost like, you know, in the Latino countries, the dark skin people got like a major La Raza, meaning like make your race better. I think Black people might have that like psychologically over here too, because like we trying to really assimilate into this shit. You trying to have more mixed kids. It's like on TV. We trying to really assimilate.
Some people want to have mixed kids. There's some Black people who want their race to disappear. Really, just don't want.
That's what it look like. That's what it look like.
So therefore, those type of Black people, hey, I wish them a lot of luck. I wish they could go be happy with everyone doing that. Yeah, I have no problem with that. You know,
I have no problem.
What I'm saying is my problem is those type of Black people, right, who think like that. They can't. The people who are FBA, Captain American Negroes, and all these people who hate Africa and Pan Africanism. Why are they always on our platforms? You ever notice that? You know, they can't stay away from us. You know, I got a Black skin is amazing. He made like 3 videos about me this week. I'm like, God damn, leave me alone.
And the mulatto, the Pan mulatto, that fucked my head. I'm like,
that dude, man. Like I said, why if you're a Pan mulatto, how come we can't find a Pan mulatto platform and y'all get together and whatever y'all want to do? These people,
so they not for them Puerto Ricans ain't focused on that nigga because he's still a nigga. I don't care.
So he basically wants. Yeah, so in other words, basically, he wants to be annoying. All these people want to be annoying. You never see me going on any of these people's FBA platforms or whatever like that and start spewing my. I say, look, I believe what I believe. If you don't believe what I believe, that's fine. I believe we should have a nation in Africa. I keep it to myself, and this is my platform, right? I never go on nobody else's platform saying you're stupid, you're a Captain American Negro for believing. I believe in live and let live. You know, these people can't do the same thing to me. You know, they're like, oh, Kyle, like for righteous. He's about, man, I'm doing a show on you Thursday night, Kyle. You're gonna get it, you know. I'm like, damn, you know, what did I do? You know, I ain't do nothing, you know.
I understand.
I ain't do nothing, you know. But it said Black people are fine because being second-class citizens.
We're not even second class, we're 4th-class citizens now.
Yeah, Black people ain't even. I mean, I don't even think we're classified anymore.
We not. Yeah, we were second class back in the 50s and the 40s.
Now you got the Asians, Hispanics,
Mexicans, and
everybody coming off the boat. You got Africans who have a higher status than Black Americans.
Shit, we like 4th to 5th class now.
Yeah.
Shit.
People find they want to be building anything.
I don't know about the Africans because they going through right now too with us. Shit. But I'm saying
the FBA, man, they're sad because they don't want to accept the reality of their second-class status in America, right? So they want to lash out at Black immigrants, you know.
Yeah, I could see. My thing is, I thought it was first like, you know, for like other immigrants, not just Black, but they keep talking about African.
Every time you hear Tariq, 99 out of 10 of the time he's talking about Black immigrants. You know, you talk about Hispanics, Afghan. Have you ever heard Tariq mention Afghanis? No. Have you ever heard him? I bet you Tariq won't even comment on this Afrikaner situation, you know? The only thing he cares about is black immigrants. That's just strange. The only thing he cares about is not having so many. He thinks black immigrants are gonna replace him.
No, they not. It's the Mexicans. He from California. He should know this. He from LA.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you gotta say something. I know that, but the thing is, what they don't want, what Tariq is scared of, is black immigrants, basically, because they're not on so-called code. They might get close to white people. That's what this is all about.
Impossible, because white people don't like no Africans.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, white people, you know what white people like? They like sitting around people that they could tell a racist joke around. Even say the N-word, and then the African a lot of times don't even know what he's talking about, And we're basically, when they'll say, white people always love this, right? They have such a guilty conscience about slavery, right? And if you're basically, Rico's mad, you go, Collie, you're lying again. No, I'm telling the truth. If you basically go around a black person, right,
down, Rico,
and you're clowning on slavery and whatnot, and he sits there and chuckles and laughs, whatnot, they love that. But African and black immigrants do that, White people make a joke about slavery or whatever like that, and they'll laugh, whatever. They'll say, that wasn't me. My ancestors wasn't slaves,
That's them Nigerian motherfuckers. That might be Nigerian. That's them.
So they white people love those type of black people, who throw.
They might like them, but they still they
don't like them, but they like them. They like them over us because those people. So? Yeah, they do. I know it. They look. They like foreign blacks because the guilt. What they hate about Black America, right, is this, right? Not what we look like. It's our history. That's what they feel guilty. Most white people are born with guilt, and
they got that white guilt.
Yeah. So instead of them basically dealing with that, whatever like that, we're constantly reminded them. So when they hear foreign black, they feel at ease. They're like, oh, he's one of the foreign ones, Or when they hear one of those black persons that talk real, Oreo type of black dudes,
them California proper type motherfuckers.
Yeah, probably those type of black people. Either you're foreign black or you're Oreo type of brothers. You're like a Brian Gumble type. You're into whiteness and stuff like that. Like Candace Owens. If you're like that type of black people, they love you. But if you're a black person who say, something, if you don't wear your race on your sleeve, right? If they have any idea that if they say the wrong thing, you might haul off and bust them in their jaw, So they like people like Juco, They like people like Juco,
White people do have guilt for having slaves.
White people do have guilt. What do you
They do.
Juco? They have a lot of guilt
white
about
guilt.
slavery.
Are you crazy?
That's the whole thing.
Chuko, it's called white guilt.
White guilt is a real. White fragility and white guilt is real. White collective guilt when that is real. White people are terrified of being called racist because of white guilt. He answers his own question. They're scared of being called racist because of white fragility and white guilt. They know they're guilty, and they know that every white man has fantasized about fucking black women,
We're not marrying them, just fucking them.
Yeah, slave master, fucking going down in the outhouse and
slave play.
Yeah, role. That's why the biggest game right now online is slave role play shit.
Wait, what?
It's called role play.
That's
they even got role play things right now. Look at research underground sex. So they got role play where some black women play the role of a mistress, and white guys come in and act like a slave master, like he's buying. They do mock auctions. All that shit exists, man. Yeah, they even got slave role play where the white women act like they're buying a buck slave and whatnot. It was a trend going on TikTok a couple of years ago, where a white woman with a boyfriend was like, "I'm going to pull the time machine back." He was standing next to a black guy, talk about. You're standing to a black guy, talk about. I wish I can just hit the time machine, go back to 1850 so I could buy him.
Nah, hell no.
Yeah, that was on TikTok, man.
Hell no. I'm glad I'm not on that shit. Hell no. It's that new generation.
Shelby Steele is a white racist apologist. He's an apologist for white racists.
Chu be playing with you, bro. Chu just be.
Dead serious about his shit.
I think I had to educate you with about the slave farms and shit. He didn't know about that. Like Chu be. I don't know what the fuck on with you. I thought he a doctor and shit. He should know better.
Chu was dumb. He ain't no doctor, man.
He's not no doctor. That's what they said. fuck.
It's a Millen says white guilt is definitely real in South Africa, Chukwu, too, just like to Niger. It's like two now. I don't know what he's mean by that. White guilt is real. White guilt about South Africa, what they did in apartheid,
What's down,
slavery.
bro? How you doing,
Real.
G? Elvis
goes,
stay off
stay
the
off the
dark
dark
web,
web, Colin. Yo, look, I be hearing about this shit, man. I ain't on the dark web.
Yeah.
I just be hearing about
I
this.
can believe it. Shit, there's a lot of self-hate going on right now. There's a lot of self-hate going on with our people.
Yeah, a lot of self-hate.
You know,
Yo,
they
there was
call
a big
we calling each
TikTok
other.
trend going on about 2 years ago, and black women were saying, "Okay, massa," to their
Oh
white
no, they
boyfriends and
call
shit
don't they
like
call
that.
them Zaddy or some shit now? What
No,
they
they'll
call
call
them?
them massa.
They call them master. Oh shit,
They'll call
I'm
them
tired.
white guys massa.
I'm tired of this shit.
Okay, let me find it on TikTok for you. Okay.
Oh yeah, find that because there's some sick. Nah,
So,
I'm tired of that shit. Lord. They call them master. Anybody join the chat. I got work. Shit, what time is it? White liver. Milan, what you from South Africa, Milan? That is. Yeah, free game king. Why give it is where white women have it too. That white girl. You South African living in. I always wanted to go to Jayburg. I got some beautiful women, but my partners say, watch out. They say y'all burning over there. They say y'all burning over there. They say y'all women burning. I ain't lying. Beautiful women though. I'm mad y'all talk about that Zulu shit, but I'm gonna let y'all be. What is it? Yeah, they burning. They say wear a condom. All my people say. Nelson Mandela should have had his wife. His wife Wendy should have had control of South Africa. Not Nelson. With Winnie Mandela, his wife, some shit like that. What the always told me. I'm not Zulu. What you Zosa? Yeah, that Zulu nonsense. That had me pissed off. They don't know about the history of Louisiana, so I'm gonna let them be. Yeah, the HIV is high over there. Beautiful women though. All my partner said, he said, man, shit, don't trust them. I said, hell no. What you Zosa? What are you?
I can't find it. But anyway, Chukwu says no such thing as
Y'all like the transgenders of the what the hell is he talking? What the fuck is he talking about?
FBS. You're like the transgenders of the diet. What the hell?
So what are you talking
Will
about?
be
Got a lot
another
of
black
A's inside the
identity in a
page.
few months. Look, I've been African American all my life. I've been African. I ain't have no identity.
I'm the song going Zulu and talking crazy. Zulu
Yeah,
King.
but I know where my ancestors
Facts, my
come
brother.
from. I know where my DNA comes from. So what are
I'm
you
gonna
talking
tell
about?
you the truth. We probably know our history way more than you know your history. A lot of y'all
I
brothers
know a
don't.
lot of these Africans, right? Like particularly Nigeria, a lot of these tribes they come from aren't even as old as we are.
I know. And a lot of them don't even know their history. That's the crazy thing.
Look, most Africans never had last names until the 20th century.
Down for real.
Yeah, and also I would so I guarantee Chukwu and most Africans don't know who their grandparents are. Never know. They don't even go that far.
Yeah,
Most
a lot of them
Africans
don't.
don't know
Well, they
anything about their
didn't write it down.
grandparents or great grandparents. We know our great grandparents,
Our
everything
great
like
great
that. You
great
know,
grandparents. They don't write the information down.
yeah, they don't
You know
have
what I'm
all
saying?
that. If their
They
great
don't write.
parents are
They don't
dead,
have.
they never knew who they were. They don't know. It's not even important. You know,
You know,
so.
we got documentation where we come from.
Yeah,
So
we got documentation who we are, our family name, and stuff like that. They didn't have family names.
no, yeah,
You know?
that's what that is. I had to educate one Nigerian about the Great Wall of Benin. They didn't even know what the fuck that was. Straight from Nigeria. That shit crazy.
Chuko said that's a damn lie. It's the
That
truth,
is the truth.
Chuko.
That's the truth.
Chuko
A lot of y'all
Igwe.
don't
Yeah,
know
that's a
y'all
name
history.
you made
Probably
up.
like
Igwe.
at most
Chuko
100 years.
Igwe and whatnot. That's a name you made up, man. You know, there ain't no damn Igwe family. You know, come on, Chuko. Come on, Chuko. Play that game with somebody else. You're talking to the college genesis here, you know? I got
They
a
didn't write. They didn't
PhD in
document their stuff.
Negroology, you know?
Dusty. They didn't document their information. A lot of them don't know their history. Maybe 100 to 200 years. That's it.
And there was no written history till modern times. Principally don't understand that.
Principal don't know. Principal probably he from Haiti. He probably got know his history more than some African shit. It is what it is.
I doubt Principally knows his history.
He Haitian. He has to know. He got to know something. I hope. Shit. Anybody gonna join? Shit. Ain't no Captain America, bro. But my thing is, I gotta contact you again. I forgot you sent the email. I gotta see my information about that trip. That's
About what? The Liberian trip?
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, what you call you? Hold up, you got to send me the contact. I got to put
Yeah,
it.
I'm about to send. Stop throwing.
He's like getting me on me about these names and numbers and
Stop
whatnot.
throwing
You know,
what? Yeah, what is this? Dang.
That's gonna be a tour of the lifetime.
Most y'all don't.
How many?
Great. How about men stop
molesting? Who's molesting?
What are you talking about?
What's on the molestation, Duran? Who's
what are you talking about?
Somebody in the chat room talking about molestation. That you were unpacking the white South Africa. Look, I'm saying what I need to say. You know, if no one's gonna call in, contribute to this and whatnot, I guess people are so. I mean, it's literally people that are shocked. They're like, I can't believe this happened. What are you kidding me? You know,
I was shocked. I ain't gonna lie.
Look, I was not shocked. You know, I was not shocked. I said sooner or later, you cannot basically bringing all these people of color over here. You know,
aren't the white South Africans the ones that built everything there?
The white South Africans, they built the design and built the country.
They did,
right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest with ourselves, you know. Black people
Milan South African, so hold on. He could come up. Is that true, Milan?
Yeah, that's what true. White South Africans built the country. They used black labor, of course, you know, but it was white people. Look, I looked at Durban, right, in 1950s, right?
Yeah.
Durban had one of the most modern beaches in the fucking world, right? You know, it was freaking beautiful, right? I look at the beaches, right? This was 1950. You had Zulus walking around traditional Zulu gear and whatnot, but the beach had a colonnade, all the stuff like that, walkway, beaches and whatnot, and then they had the city, right, which was nice and well paved and whatnot. And then it dawned on me when I read about it, I said, look, see, they had their gold bullion, right? The rand, right?
Yeah.
And all they did was float a bond, right, to develop the land, right?
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, now to finance that, the infrastructure, we need a tax base. That's when they saw South Africa became a place so people could put your capital into, you know. Damn. South Africa basically had the
Bank of Africa.
They had the number one place for you had like most investment had like a 20 to 30% return easily, you know.
People told me it was like the Bank of Africa on some shit.
So the rand was equal to the dollar. There's so much capital coming in, the rand was equal to the dollar, you know. So that's how they built that civilization, right? They built railways, streetcars, all the stuff like that. They built in Durban. You know, Durban was like a little sleepy town, and when they
Milan said this is incorrect. He said 70% of South African infrastructure was literally built since 1994.
That's a lie. That's a lie, man. Get off the. Okay, let's hold on. This is what we're gonna do. Milan's obviously a black South African revisionist, right?
I'm trying to be educated. I don't know too much about
let me tell you. You be quiet for a second. I'll tell you. I'll show you. Okay. All right. Let's go South Africa in the 1950s. You know, we're gonna talk about this. South Africa in the 19. This is the deal. You go to file footage, right? You can get everything you want. You can put it, type in a year, or any country in the world, and you can see footage from that country from that year.
Mm.
And so the bottom line is file footage doesn't lie. This is real, actual live footage, like that. File footage, like a footage file, no footage file, footage.
Send a link so Milan can get on and he can talk to you about this.
Footage file. Okay, 1 second. File.
All right.
South Africa. South Africa. Put 1960s. 1960s. He was obviously real dumb. Just like what you call Liberia today. Liberia wasn't developed. I think Black South Africans destroyed the country. Let's look at a video.
He's really destroyed the country. Damn.
They're the ones who fucking destroyed the country. I'll be honest with you, man.
Damn.
Like this. Let's look at let's look at South Africa in the 50s and the 60s. He said everything was built in 1994, but this is 1950s. It doesn't go with his fucking
Drop the
thing.
link.
I'll drop the link in a second. I'll drop the link in a second.
Damn.
Okay, this is South Africa. Hold up. This is South Africa in the 50s.
Let me see.
See streetcars, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's nice.
This is 1950s.
What? Look at that.
So they said, "Oh, 1950." No, you guys, you Black South Africans destroyed the country. That's why the whites we got to deal with the whites here because you guys destroyed this country. Because you didn't know why.
They had a nuclear program too, huh?
Check out, hold up. The South African blacks never knew why. No matter how much know-how they require.
Should I switch to Monday CRM?
They simply didn't know.
Updating
why.
this field is so confusing. The CRM sucks.
You're gonna fail.
Is it me? Am I asking for too?
If you don't know why, you're gonna fail.
Much?
Black South African, the
Or
black.
is it time to stand up to these slow, archaic CRMs?
Why?
Then South Africa had like a nuclear program too, a nuclear weapons, I think.
Yeah, they had nuclear weapons and everything like that, but they got rid of it.
It's because Africans really don't.
All right, let's sponsor.
Damn.
Let's like this. Okay, Johannesburg. Let's watch Johannesburg from the 1950s. This is black and white. Let's watch. Let's see what goes. You think you're gonna find tall buildings, stuff like that? This is 1950. Let's watch what you see. See the city in the background right there?
It's nice.
Hello, boys and girls. We're off to adventure in Johannesburg in South Africa. I'm the skipper.
Johannesburg is a city of nearly 1 million people.
Damn.
Wow, man. I thought in 1994 it wasn't developed in 1994. This is
70 years
1950.
ago, you wouldn't have found Johannesburg on any map. Then gold was discovered. A mining camp sprang up, and the city just grew around it. It is a great market for diamonds, wool, grain, and gold. Johannesburg is often called the city of gold. 1 out of 4 of its people works underground in the miles of tunnels that run beneath these busy streets.
It's nice.
Now tell me how it wasn't developed until 1994. Now these people
There's
lie.
an industrial city. It's nice. Wow.
These mounds are the tailings from the gold mine. They are the earth that is left after the gold has been removed. But we have an adventure that is more interesting than gold. I want you to meet my friend, Lou Ann Parsons, a missionary from North America.
Hello.
Mrs. Parsons, how do you happen to be a missionary 10,000 miles from home?
Well, Skipper, I could show you better than I could tell you. I'd like you to meet a young...
5:30 in the morning. Loretta is already up working. She's making mealie meal porridge.
What's mealie meal?
It's like cornmeal mush. It's the usual breakfast in the Bantu home. Mealie meal porridge and tea.
The Bantu home.
Most African children work very hard, especially girls.
Don't the boys work?
Yes, but not as hard as the girls, because parents believe that girls aren't as important, and so
This
they
is
do
crazy.
some of the hard work in the home, which isn't so important.
Milan, join the tag then. You don't agree?
Loretta's father will eat alone. That's the custom. She and her mother and the smaller children will eat their breakfast after the father's gone to work.
We thank thee, O Lord, for this meal. Amen.
Loretta, her father and mother, and their neighbors belong to the Bantu people. Loretta lives in a suburb of Johannesburg, which is called a location. Only African people live in these locations.
So long, Mom.
So long, Baba.
They was segregated like a
Loretta's
motherfucker.
father is a factory worker, and he leaves home every morning at 6 o'clock. And he joins thousands of other workers who all take the commuter trains into the cities. You see, African workers do not have their own homes in the city. If they live in their own homes, they must live in one of the locations, like Orlando, where Loretta lives. Before Loretta goes to school, she must wash the breakfast dishes. It is not yet 8 o'clock, but Loretta's off for school.
I ain't gonna lie, this
No
is pretty
school bus
sad.
is
I
here,
ain't
but
gonna lie.
she's lucky. Her school is just across the
Sad
road.
shit.
You can see it.
Shopify is a platform that helps entrepreneurs get started down the path they want. Sometimes starting a business can be scary. I feel like I lost a little piece of my soul. Like getting covered in spiders or being buried alive. But Shopify is here to help. If I hadn't started my own business, I wouldn't have been able to go to all the crazy places like Antarctica and make videos like these for you guys. And just like millions of other people have done with Shopify, you can get started today on your business right now. Go to shopify.com and start your free trial today.
Hey, shout out Mr. Beast.
See this
Shout out.
property on Craigslist for $4,300 a month? Well, it's been sitting empty for the last 28 days. And
I
there's
hate
44
stupid
million
ads.
long-term
Oh
rental
my
properties
God.
sitting vacant
Yeah,
all
skip that
across
ad,
America.
Colin.
So what
Stay
if I
right
told
there.
you that you could potentially collect your first check from empty properties on
My
Craigslist
thing is,
this week? And here's the
everybody
craziest part.
segregated in Africa.
You don't have
Why
to own
isn't
these
he
properties.
skipping?
You don't
Oh,
have to rent them.
skip it.
And you don't have to
Colin.
furnish them. And you don't have to even
I don't
step
know. I don't
foot
think Colin
inside
here.
these properties. How's that possible? Through a new method called Airbnb co-listing
He
that
probably
no one
went
is
down to
talking
get
about
the
that
pizza or
allows you to
whatever
potentially make money from
he
empty
was
properties
talking
on
about in the
Craigslist
beginning
100%
of
remotely
the
and
video
online. And this
or
Yeah,
the
he
works
got to be
live.
careful because these
anywhere
ads
on
be like
Sorry
planet
about
4
Earth.
that.
minutes
Sorry
now.
about that, folks. Sorry about that.
We don't yet have nearly enough schools for everybody who might attend.
Isn't that a Christian hymn, Mrs. Parsons?
Yes, Skipper. This is a Christian school started by Christian missionaries. It's now a community school under a school board, but they begin each morning with a hymn and a prayer.
Now, boys and girls, we are going to work
Sun on the blackboard that I don't know who can tell me. What type of sun is this?
There are so many children in Loretta's school that her class meets in the church.
How far can Loretta go in school?
Oh, she might go through high school.
Will all these children go to high school?
Oh, no, not 1 in 20 will go through high school. Education is not compulsory for African children.
Which comes first, and then the division sign, which comes second. The last will be the multiplication sign. Write down 5 and 1, 7, and something else. All right?
The next number is 9 and a fifth times 6 and a quarter.
That was real sad. We'll find another video. A little more upbeat. Hold up.
Yeah, because this is really depressing.
That was really sad to see. Okay, this one right here is pretty good. The death of the city of Pretoria. All right, let's see. This should be good.
This is one of South Africa's 3 capital cities, Pretoria, aka Pitor. Pretoria has a big problem. It's supposed to be in its prime, but the city is physically falling apart and has been for a while. Turns out urban renewal does not renew. Instead, we have cases of urban decay today. I'm talking about the abandoned and forgotten buildings in Pretoria. And I want to show you a prime example of this urban decay. This is Schubert Park, and it was doomed from the start. In the 1960s, social housing projects were the talk of the town around the world. Apartheid South Africa was paying attention.
Inner city populations grew, planners had to come up with innovative ways of housing people, and so the notion of streets in the sky was born.
They wanted a way to get white people to be a proper middle class in the country. So in 1976, they commissioned Schubert Park as a place for white people to live and be closer to the capital. This was particularly for civil servants. Someday, I'll tell you about how many of these people got their money together and established what we know as this fancy Pretoria East. Anyway, an underlying goal of this was to keep these people away from the racial intermingling that was happening downtown in a place called Marabastad, still there today. The government would not let white people be equals to other people, particularly on the basis of class. That is a threat. The Schubert Park complex was planned to have 4 buildings with a total of about 800 units for families to live in. And they targeted young professionals, like I said, civil servants of the government. To attract them, this place was meant to have swimming pools, tennis courts, shops, and all these amenities you could think of. It was meant to be a city within a city. And apparently the waiting list was pretty long, lasting years even. But Schubert Park had problems from the start. There were issues with whether the state or local government would be handling this whole thing. Over time, it wasn't being taken care of, and the project was running out of funding. The idea of it being a city within a city made it quite isolated, and hence good ground for crime within the place itself. So it wasn't so great to live in at some point. By the 1990s, people started moving out. Remember, this is around the time we're hitting 1994, right? South Africa becomes democratic. And with this comes some new policies, such as racial integration and income integration. So the whole social housing idea is still well and alive for Schubert Park at this point. Before 94, apartments at Schubert Park were allocated based on being white and a minimum income level, right? In other words, they were not so friendly to poor white people. There's a whole other area for those people in Pretoria, right? Pretoria West, which maybe we'll talk about at some other point. Anyway, these changes led to the community of people who live there being quite complex socially and racially integrated, right? Crucially, it also meant like class dynamics shifted. Fast forward a couple of decades, this place has become run down, crime-ridden, and pretty ugly. In the middle of all of this, Schubert Park got hijacked. What's a hijacked building, you wonder? Well, basically a couple of guys shake down the owner of a building and then come over to your building and say, hey, we run this now, you pay us. There's a whole movie about this.
What if he goes to the police? Like it. This is purely a civil matter.
There's no such thing as theft of fixed assets. The police can't do nothing about it unless the owner gets a court order, and that will take him around a year or even more. And all the time we are collecting rent. Hallelujah, my brother.
In 2011, it got more chaotic. The city cut off electricity and water to about 700 families living there. And the city said they hadn't been paying for these services. Obviously, people were not happy. And this resulted in protests. Protest. It doesn't work. People get evicted. I remember seeing news of the red ants removing people from their homes. The red ants are like the specialists of eviction. You don't want them showing up anyway. A fire was started in the middle of the whole ruckus, and there were fatalities. It was terrible. The city would eventually relocate these residents, at least some of them, but the place was sealed off and became abandoned. So, there's Schubert Park, lying idle, we've all forgotten about it. And then in 2023, the city says, yo, we've come up with something. Hang tight. We're going to sort this out. We're going to have affordable housing again. Yeah, who knows? It will be easy to say the whole problem with Schubert Park was integration, right? The social problem, but it's not. Clearly, there was a lot going on. And during apartheid, maladministration and corruption and poor planning, all of these things were quite rife. And they still are today, still a problem for South Africa today. We're only talking about one building complex. There are many other examples of urban decay in Pretoria. In fact, just down the road, there's this building. This is Kruger Park. You don't want to go there. That's a red zone. Years ago, people jumped out of the top floor windows to escape a fire here. These buildings are spread across the city. For some, we don't even know who the owners are. Apartheid record keeping wasn't that great. I'm not even sure how old my grandmother really is. But some of the records were actually destroyed. Anyway, I wanted to give you an overview of urban decay versus urban renewal. I would love to do a full in-depth documentary about this and even talk to former residents of places like Schubert Park. But I don't have a drone. I need someone who has a drone that's keen to collaborate to make such a video together. So if you're that person, please give me a shout. Let's talk. Let's explore this beautiful, nasty city of ours.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. South Africa has a lot of problems and whatnot, and it just didn't pop up in 1994. It was already existed, for hundreds of years before the black government took over. So it's people like me about they want to start South Africa in 1994 when the blacks took over. Like I said, the African, so you can't get anything really about the Africans. All they do is rewrite history and stuff like that. So. All right, Honey Flower, what's on your mind? Everybody else dropped off.
So, yeah, because that video was so super long, and I just have just a short thing to say because I have to go to bed soon. But this is really not my business, as some of the people would say, like Ola and stuff, that I'm not really black, I'm not African. But I am African. I am a black woman and everything like that. And I just look at this stuff, and I just realized that everything we were told about African people is just a lie. How we're not individualistic, how we're collective. And then, sometimes you guys talk about that.
Black people are very individualistic.
They're extremely. Like, this situation here should open your eyes about the true nature of African people, or black people in general, as a race of people. I think we're the most individualistic group of people on the face of the planet Earth. Because if you think about it, I was listening to Dinah's show, and I was listening to everybody yapping their mouth, and I just thought to myself, someone made an interesting point. They said Africa has never extended their hand to like African Americans to come back to. Well, I know like Ghana and stuff has had.
But
not like
you gotta say something. The black race does not have the same love. Remember, we gotta say something. Race has everything to do with resources and power, which the white people have and we don't. there's no advantage for black people to get together other than just basically
But
complaining
that's the
about.
thing, Kala. I just had a deep realization when we say, oh, African people can't build this and can't build that. I don't think it's necessary that they can't. They can learn a skill. There's people that can learn how to, build things and stuff. It's the fact that there isn't that collective love or that attention or that care to build something, maintain it for their
Yeah, I
next
think Adama
generation.
was more. I think Adama likes you, bro. I think he likes you.
He doesn't even know what I look like to
I
like
see the
me.
picture.
Yeah. So yeah, how's it going, honey flower?
See, I
It's
tell you,
going
man, he wants
good.
a number. He
I'm
wants a number.
actually in a good mood today. So
Oh, that's good. What happened today made you be in a good mood?
I just did a little workout and stuff. So kind of
Oh,
like
that's good. Hey, but
yeah,
I'm
kind
gonna
of
say this. I know you say you from out there in Minnesota, right?
yeah.
Okay, by me being a trucker, I've been through Minnesota
Man,
many times.
she ain't gonna meet up with you, bro. Stop it.
And no, I'm not asking her to meet up with me. I'm just telling her, I'm familiar with the area. I've been out there many times. And I even feel like when I go out there, and this is just me, and I mean this respectfully, but one time I was in Mankato. You know where Mankato is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was in Mankato there one time, and I was on break, and I went into the mall there, and I saw all these. I guess they were Ethiopian but I noticed that they all had their hijabs on, but they were
Those
just
are
all hanging out.
Somalis.
Yeah, but they was all just hanging out in the mall and stuff. And those girls, I mean, I be watching them. They be looking at me when I'm walking down. I'll be walking through the mall. They be looking at me and stuff. I'm like, okay. And sometimes I feel
Okay,
like.
you sexy thing, Odama. This is all I'm gonna say to you, sister. Yeah, you're right about black people not working together. You didn't nobody basically extended a hand to Black America.
And
That's why.
Kala, I also wanted to add more to my little hypothesis that I came up
Yeah,
with
go
because
ahead.
if you notice the amount of like swirling and stuff, like people say I have a swirling, like they say that I'm a swirler and all that, but like I'm not, and I might consider it, but I'm not for now. I'm just kidding. But like when you look at how like black people just Africans, all of whatever you want to call it, it's like how we're so open to swirling, how we don't
Because
think
we don't,
about
like I said, the topic of the show, we don't know why.
but
Why
why
do
don't
white
we know
people choose
why?
to be in their race or not? Why do they basically pass generational? They got, most white wealth. You know how most white people get their wealth, right? You know how they get it?
Inheritance.
Inheritance, right? You can only do that when you marry the right people and you pass it down through bloodlines and whatnot. So that's how they do it. Black people, reason why we don't have no wealth. How you gonna have wealth when people ain't marrying? They don't care about who they marry. We marry out. We don't care who the hell we pass our legacy down to and whatnot.
I don't wear blonde wigs. I have my own hair and it's very long. I don't need a wig.
Yeah, she
But
was Somali. I see this one Somali chick on. She was a Somali chick on TikTok. She was hot. Was that you? She was talking about how East Africans hate
I
each
don't
other and
use
whatnot.
TikTok. I don't use
Yo,
TikTok. I
Khaled.
don't
She
use
was hot,
social
man.
media. I don't use
She was
social media,
freaking
just
smoking,
YouTube.
freaking hot. When we
Said,
play
was
her
that
video,
you?
and she was
Hala, I
smoking.
also wanted to add another thing. Oh, I almost.
Go ahead.
Oh, it was you. You made a comment on Dinah's show where you were like, African Americans or Black people in general shouldn't be surprised about Donald Trump allowing those white South
I'm
Africans
not
to,
surprised.
because they're white. Like they have a global white. You said pan
Pan
something Caucasian
Europeanism.
or something like.
Pan Europeanism.
Yeah, like every single group of people have that mindset, and it's crazy because it's only Black people that we don't have that.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
that's why I can't go into the Pan African world with blinders on, thinking it's like that. You know,
Yeah, it's
and I
not.
said
Right. That's
pollination.
why I'm scared to go. Cause I'm like, man, like if something go wrong, they not about to look out for me. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go to the embassy like you.
Yeah,
They're
so the
not
bottom
looking
line,
out
I
for
tell
you.
anybody, me and Bomani will tell you, look, they have U.S. embassies for a reason. You got that passport. Another thing is, also Harlem put a video out today. People understand something. They're starting to crack down on people with dual passports. You know, there's some countries are trying to make you choose allegiances and stuff like that. If you leave the United States, let's say, I see people say, I'm a Sierra Leonean, right? And they make the mistake of leaving the United States, sign their travel documents on a Sierra Leone passport. Like, let's say you don't have to get visa because you're traveling on Sierra Leone document. Do you know you got to use that same passport, right, to get back to the United States, which means it requires a visa?
So there's no point. You might as well just get an American passport.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat said Elon is going to usher apartheid 2.0 in America.
Oh, it ain't gonna happen like that, you
How's
know.
that gonna? How's that
But the bottom
possible?
line is, what they're saying is they're looking out for their own race. You know, they're looking out for their own race and everything like that, which is natural because you can't have all these people like
Exactly.
AOC want to bring in all these millions of migrants, and they want to open the border and stuff like open the border.
Did you see black people? Those Democrats were fighting for like the Latino immigrants.
Yeah, this stupid thing. They're out there getting their head busted open for some Latino criminals. Or
Yeah.
Why do black people
Well,
do
well,
stuff
see,
like that?
here's what I realized though, Kala and Honeyflower, is that these politicians, they're controlled by bond money and lobbying money, and what it is the national. They're under a different name now, but they used to be called the National Council of La Raza. What they do is they go around and they put money into the coffers of these Democratic politicians. That's why they out there running support. It ain't because they so much love these Latino people. It's that money. But I'll leave it at that.
It's always
That's why. That's why they out there doing that.
All right, I got brother Captain Hit coming on. Let's see what Captain Hit has to say. Hey, brother Hit, do you think it's a good time for us to talk about nationhood, given the fact of what's going on?
Brother, of course it is. Of course it is at all times. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, brother.
Okay, yes, of course it is. They don't understand the things I say on Twitter. You heard that Kanye song that came out?
Yeah, I ain't here, but I know Kanye's crazy.
Did you see it? Did you listen to it?
I don't have Twitter.
No, you don't have to listen on Twitter. It's on YouTube.
Okay, no, it's a new Kanye West song.
Oh yeah, he shook up the whole internet. Is there? These guys are losing their minds over
Somebody
this.
was basically they're trying to say, "Oh, nobody listens to Kanye," so that's what it tells me it's something I must listen to.
Oh, brother, this thing.
Yeah, don't play it on the show though.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
you can't play it on the show.
Yeah,
no.
you can't play it on the show. Yeah, I don't even know what StreamYard would do and all that. But yeah, it's hitting hard, bro. It's he's he came out so hard on this one. Yep, he came out so hard. But yeah, getting back to what we're saying, yeah, we need to get our own. I'll tell you this: I think that he would probably be more than happy to join with us to have something for ourselves. I think he's getting sick and tired of probably having to go around the world and be a minority everywhere you go.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. But the thing is, we don't have Africans back. Imagine if we had a powerful government in Africa willing to back us up. Like what we need, the black race needs is its own Donald Trump.
Brother, I've already told you many times. They're never going to do it. We need to just go get our own, and that's it. We have the right. From the historical perspective, there is no statute of limitations on a genocide of a people. If the Jews and if the Zionists can claim land after 2,000 years, they can say, "Oh, we were here 2,000 years ago. We have a claim to land."
Bro, did you see my show the other night called Blood and Soil?
No, I didn't see that. No,
that was how I broke it down. I was like, people like I say, look, we will basically have a nation realm.
No, we will. We have no choice.
If possible. But also, every nation is built in blood. There's got to be blood. Because even let's say even if you have an all African American settle and build something, right? There's going to be conflict, which is good. Because it gets rid of the bad blood. It's clear about who. Then you come to agreement and settle it, and build. Then you have
Yeah,
peace,
well,
you know?
the good thing about it is like how we talked about before, that the people that from here to go over there, we're going to leave all the riffraff here in
Yeah.
America. You can't come. You cannot come. We cannot build a nation if people are coming with dumb shit. Excuse my language. We have to eradicate that jealousy, that envy between each other. That's something that we have got to eradicate. If you driving a Benz and I'm driving a 1997 Toyota Corolla, so what? I shouldn't be worried about you. I shouldn't even care. We got to get rid of that materialism out of our psyche.
Yeah, I
We
talked
got to get that jealousy and envy.
I talked about last night how back in the 90s, right? Puff Dad, P. Diddy, for the trial, he introduced materialism to black culture, Everything that dude talked about was a Rolex watches.
Of course. Well, that's today. Come on,
you remember how back then everyone was struggling, young brothers were trying to make a living, and you may have a Honda Excel or whatever like that. You may have a hoopty, but it was the best you could do, living an honest living, But
exactly.
But the rappers got back then made it seem like we were lame and all stuff like that because we weren't dope boys and shit,
What happens like right now? You have the prom stuff going on. And all of these young kids, what are they all coming out? They want a ramp, a runway. They want the whole neighborhood to stop. They want to come out, and all these young boys got to have a stack of money like they're on a telephone, like they got a brick phone, full of money. And it's once again, these are the things when we leave here and we can have our own, then we can eradicate that from our society, because that jealousy and envy is what really holds us back. And that has been promoted by a lot of those Jew producers and owners of companies who made money off the back of black people selling out, talking nigga this and nigga that and all that. You can say that all day long. But when you want to sit there and you want to go after the people who help promote that, and I heard one time one of the producers on Charlemagne, that guy Charlemagne's, that stupid Charlemagne on his show, and the guy's like, and he asked him, well, what, you promoting this, and the Jew guy was like, yo, I got to
Let's Liar Cohen.
Yeah, whoever he was. Yeah, he says, well, I got families to feed. I'm like, you got families to feed off of our backs while he was
the one who helped build Rockefeller Records.
Yeah, that's right. While they're helping us destroy one another, that's black men are killing black people. Black people are killing black people. Guys, Ku Klux Klan, KKK. Don't worry about them. No, we're doing it ourselves. Just throw some guns, some liquor. You put some drugs up in the community and sit back and just go ahead and watch. Because right now they've taken. I mean, even here, I was looking at the statistics of one of the middle schools in Orlando, and one of these guys, they're all into what are you doing hitting the school and this and that. I like to focus on diamonds in the rough and take one kid and see if I could turn him into an elite man. But these guys are all in these schools. The school, 30% of the children can read or write. That's it. This is 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. 30% are passing. 30%. 54% absenteeism. When was the last? If you missed a day of school when you and I were growing up in New York, if you missed a day of school, you better have a good damn. You better have a serious excuse.
It was like a federal case back then,
Brother, come on, man. I got awards for never being absent from school. I remember one guy got a certificate. I said, I need to come to school like that. Get on stage, get my little certificate. That inspired me enough. But yeah, what society are we going to have with that? And the way the statistics are going, so we're 12% of the population in the year 2050. We're still going to be 12% of the population. Because we're not having enough babies. We're not having enough. We're not growing ourselves. All the the Hispanics, they're having babies left and right. And of course, the Muslims, we love families. We love having children. So we're gonna have as many children as possible. But what's happening to us? They're slowly and systemically erasing us, and we will be such a minority. And I heard this word the other day, black fatigue. I saw this new thing online, black fatigue. People, white people, black people.
I saw it too.
You saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw it. It's trending now on YouTube as well.
That's right. They're sick and tired of the BLMs and all these other people crying, complaining, wanting to blame everybody. No, it's time for us to step up on our own. And we have everything that we need. We are a genius people. We are a great people. We can do anything. We dominate in anything that we put our minds to. We can do it, but we got to get from underneath. We have to get out of this place. That's the bottom line. And brother, I just got back from Dubai, so I haven't been here for a while. I was gone in the Middle East. I was in the Middle East.
I wonder where you were.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was in Kuwait, and I spent a good time in Kuwait, and I spent some time in Dubai. And Dubai is lit. And the bottom line
is, are you going back there this summer?
No, I'm not going. No, you can't. I would never. Don't go to the Middle East in the summer, bro. Don't even think about
that.
it. No,
what about the fall?
Now I would go. Yes, the fall and the winter time, excellent time. But I tell you this, though,
if I can, man, but you and me, let's head over there in December,
bro. Let's go to Dubai. I'll go to Dubai with you anytime, bro. We can go there.
I like to make some connections over there, man.
Bro, of course, man. We'll drive. I rented a car. I was driving off, man. I'm Dubai certified, bro. Abu Dhabi. I'll take us wherever we got to go. I'm totally certified right now. I was driving. It's crazy over there, but yeah, you can. I got it down though. It's like it's like a Formula One track in certain areas. But you got to, we could drive. We're New Yorkers, man. We could deal with it. Yeah. So I had a great time. And one of the things that that you'll learn is this: 1 out of 10 people in Dubai are Emiratis. 9 out of 10 are not even Emiratis. So 10% of the population of the UAE are the original people of the UAE. They control all the laws. They make all the business. They have control all the licenses. They control all the property. And the other 90% of the people that are there as guests.
That's what I'm saying. So why does people feel like we got to? This was the thing about Africans, black people. Like we got to have elections. No, let me look. You see the topic of the show, Brother Head?
Yes, sir. I do.
People who understand why. It could be only 10% of your population who knows why. Those are the people that make the decisions. The people who know why, not numbers, not democracy, none of that. You got to know why. The black South Africans, unfortunately, never knew why. That's why they fell apart. And the native Liberians fell apart because they didn't know why. In
the UAE, brother, it is so safe. It is so clean, sister. You can walk around at 2:00 in the morning and not worry about a thing. You don't have to worry about nothing. Nobody will touch you because the laws are strict. They say if you get out of line, you hear the call to prayer everywhere you go. Everybody in the world is invited. They don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, or whatever. You can come visit. But you will hear the call to prayer everywhere you go. And the laws are the laws. You just respect people, and the place is clean as a whistle. And I can tell you this, all the people from India, that you have Indians, Pakistanis, you have Filipinos, they go over there. And what happens is they leave their countries, they go there and they treat them very well. Because I asked a lot of the locals, I said, so where do you live? Like, how are you living? How is the place? Oh, we have a nice room. In fact, they say they have a cleaner. They don't even got to clean their place up. They really take care of the people that are working there. And they have people in all of the malls. Every bathroom is clean as a whistle. They got people mopping, sweeping the street. And those people are cool because the alternative is to go back to their own country. And in certain countries, like even in India, like the Ganges River, if you and I drank water in the Ganges River,
I would die. If I smell that water, I'd die.
Yeah, exactly. We will literally die. But so when people have it, so I'm telling you, Kala, it's going to work for us. When we get over there and we get our land, we can invite, I don't care who else we invite, the Indians, Pakistan, we can invite all the Africans, I don't care, South Americans.
Well, we're the ones making the laws and empower.
Yes, they come over, you can never be a citizen. That's how it works there. Because a lot of people, Indians and Pakistanis and Filipinos, they are born in the UAE, but they will never have UAE citizenship. That's the law. And because of that, that's why the place is run very, very well. That's why you got no drama going on over there. No drama whatsoever. And that's why people are going there. It was lit, bro. I had a great time. I went to the.
It looks lit, I like. Would you on one of those Palm Islands?
Yeah, I did. I did go. Yes, I
And
did
then you
go.
got the world islands and whatnot, you know. With,
Yeah, I didn't go out there.
You got to take
Yeah,
a boat to them. You got to take a boat out there to
Yeah.
them. That looks
I went
nice.
to the Palm. Yeah, I went to the Palm Islands.
It looks
to
like the
Atlantis.
1,000 Islands in upstate New York, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Then I went. I booked a tour. I watched the sunrise on the top of the Burj Khalifa. So I went to the top of the tallest building in the world, with my wife and I said, we're going up there. I said, we're gonna watch the sunrise together on there. And I was looking around, and you can't believe how much development is going on there, brother. I'm telling you, man, it is unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Now, hello, look, David Hick. Now, somebody named St. James, who's now I respect Ibram Troy. He's a Burkini. He wants us to be sitting there focused on his country. In other words, they want us to come there and focus, stop what we're doing, and focus on building his country. I think that's his responsibility.
No, it is his responsibility.
You know, that's not our responsibility to build Burkina Faso. You know,
no. I mean, if he said, "Hey guys, African Americans, I'm going to give you this big parcel," and
they don't come up with that. They haven't said the magic words to me. They haven't sung my tune. Yo, Colin, we got 2,000 square miles of land. Then you're talking I haven't heard that yet.
10,000. Give us 10,000
I don't think a country
miles.
that big, though. I don't think a country that big, but it's a country right there. I think
let's see. Let me look that up. Burkina Faso.
I know Angola could give us at least 20,000.
Oh, come on. Angola's got.
Yeah, Angola and Zambia. That whole northern Angola, Zambia is like 40,000 square miles. You know. So,
Angola's bigger than that.
Oh no, I'm just talking about just land that's available.
Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is 105,000 square miles.
Oh wow!
So that would 10,000 square miles. That would be nothing. So they had 90%.
Oh wow, man! So they got the land, man. They got the land. I think it is a country the size of Rhode Island. I don't know what I was thinking about.
No. It's huge. Yeah, they got
St. James, man. You got to get the word out there. You want brothers like me and Hit organizing to help you build your country. We want the land, man. That's non-negotiable. You know.
Yeah, and that would be a partnership. See, the way it would work, it's like how they do in the UAE, like the United Arab Emirates. So you have the separate states. And the states then
Emirates. They're called Emirates. They operate under their own laws.
That's right. They have their own leaders. They have their own leaders, but they made a comment. So as time came on, they combined themselves to become the United Arab Emirates. They are separate Emirates, but Abu Dhabi is different than Dubai itself. But so they came together, and the same thing can happen to us in the future. But I'll tell you this though, man, you can't believe the building. Carl, I'll send you some videos on through WhatsApp. So yeah, you could watch when I was looking at the sunrise and all that. And I took video of like just some of the areas and the construction sites that are going on. It's just, man, come on, man. It's so lit. It's not even funny, man. Like I said, clean.
Although they have oil money, honey flower, we basically have more money because we could raise capital from all the money we have in America. All we need is a financial institution to bring in float bonds and stocks and bonds and whatnot. We could raise more capital in them anytime we want. Yeah. We could have way more money to buy, because we have it,
100%. In our place, if we make it like they are so, like I said, everyone feels very safe and respected in the UAE. And if we can do the same thing, and that's where that gets to that jealousy, envy, and that hatred. If we can erase that from ourselves, and we should be able to do that because we would be the rulers of the land. We won't have to compete with anybody. We are the ones that will be in charge. So if we can then just let people come in, they can come work. And believe me, they'll work their asses off. If we treat them well, at least provide good medical for them and good housing for them, they will live there for years. Yeah, even when I was in Kuwait with my boy over there, one of my good friends of mine, bro, he had 2 elevators in his house. I was taking the elevator up to my room. Okay, and so he had the driver, he had the maid. The maid, she was weird though, man. Jizan, this lady, I don't know why. Something about her. She was from Nepal. Then his driver and gardener was he was an Indian guy. We would go to the mosque and he'd be right there standing right next to us. But let me tell you, those people, they were doing their job, and they were respected. very well. You know, my boy and all of his kids, they respect all the people that are there. There's no drama, no drama. And so if we can do the same exact thing, we can. And once we're in charge, we don't have to worry about, oh man, it's somebody over us. No. We got to get rid of that. And then when we look at each other, hey, if you want a house with 50,000 square feet, go, great. I'll clap my hands for it. Me, I don't need that much. I can't get swayed by the Bugattis or the Ferraris. I'm past that stage. You can't.
I want the base. I would like to have a bunch of high-rise buildings.
Yes, exactly. Now I want to die.
I would like to have a Singapore style housing. High-rise, vertical housing. That's what I look.
Now we can have that. We can
vertical farming and urban farming.
If we can provide a beautiful house for everyone, then everyone's chill. There's no problems. That's the bottom line.
That's what I dream about.
That's right. What I wish for myself, I wish for everyone else. I do not want to see people in filth or slum or having ghettos. We're not going to have none of that in that nation. We'll never have a ghetto. Everyone needs to be respected and dignified. And of course, kids then will know their place, go to school, no phones. Teachers can whip some ass. Parents can whip some ass too. Bring it all back. No, we're not. Our children are not going to have mental issues and ADD. No, we'll take care. We never had that growing up. Your ADD got handled real quick with an ass whooping. Yeah, it was a great trip. I enjoyed it. Dubai was really, really good. I mean, I missed the green. So the one thing about that area that we're not going to have a problem with is that I do like the fact that we can get something that's green. The desert is the desert. They have some really beautiful areas. Like when you go inside, some of the buildings are magnificent. You got to stay inside a lot. So it's not like you can go out a lot. And I did hit one sandstorm when I was up in Kuwait, and it was real, man. It was a serious sandstorm. And then you deal with some of those little things you deal with. But if we can find that place that has beautiful green, and then we just build it like a Dubai, I mean, it's the best city in the world right now. There's no question. Hands down. Dubai is lit.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah.
They focus on infrastructure,
Oh yes. No, you won't. I'll send you the videos. You won't believe how many buildings are going up.
Dubai is absolutely paradise. It's like heaven on earth. It's absolutely paradise.
That's 60-something stories, brother. The hotel. 65 stories. It's unbelievable how much you're going. All the way down to Abu Dhabi.
My brother here can't hear me, so away from the mic.
The highways are expanding. Really nice. But yeah, Colin, we need to take a trip over there, brother.
Yeah, man, I definitely want to go.
Yeah, you'll go there and you'll be like,
the best time probably be December or January. And then we can make a beeline trip to Liberia. Remember that tour?
Yeah.
We can do it all, man.
Yeah, but just it's the flight, the one it's a nonstop flight. Like I flew from Orlando, so it's 14 hours going there, 15 hours coming back.
Wow.
But you can deal with it. You just fall asleep and
I can't do more than 7 hours, man. I got 7 hours. I gotta get up and stretch. I go crazy unless I got a first class seat, Unless I got one of the first class ones, man. Regular seat in there, man. I go crazy. Man. 7 hours, I was freaking going nuts. 7 hour flight, man.
Hey, I agree. I agree with you, brother. But I think that when we built the Afrikstan, it should be something similar to Dubai. But what we should do is we should invite like other Africans from like the surrounding African country. Like for instance, we can invite South Africans. We can invite Nigerians.
We can invite everybody in. But the bottom line is, they're residents. They're not citizens. Only us black people in America.
We're the citizens. We make all the laws. That's right. They are residents. We give them permanent residence.
Also, when you talk about a nation, it's more than just jobs, right? It's like the defining of a nation, right? Let's say the roads, the bridges, what the names are, the streets and whatnot.
Yeah.
The museums, the monuments, all that stuff defines a nation, you know? And basically, be honest with you, I can't have chiefs, boom shakalaka, in wherever. No, it don't work like that. Everybody that's a monument on our currency, the faces on currency are going to reflect our culture and our history and our
completely
story.
us, 100%.
That's what I said. That's how we're going to live, you know?
Yeah.
Now, if they want to do like that, come into an African-American nation like that, based on our history and our story, if they want to be part of our story, hey, they're more than welcome to come. You know, we welcome to the family, you know? But no, I don't believe in this. Oh yeah, we gotta change. I gotta change with me for the food. Somebody, no, I don't. I'm sorry, can't do that. You know.
No, we have to.
We need our culture in America needs a chance. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody else has been given a chance. You can't say Nigerians weren't given a chance. They had a country. They had billions of dollars worth of oil.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ghana. All these people had a chance. The only people that never had a chance, a man's chances were the African American. You know. We're still being ruled by another race of people, you know, after 400 years. And like I said, it's time for us to have a nation and rule ourselves. If somebody wants to be part of that, hey, I'm fine with that. But you understand the nation belongs to us, you know? So
yeah, absolutely. 100%.
We agree on that.
Yeah, we control all of the politics. We control the social. We control the economics. We control everything in that nation. Our laws, our courts, our leaders, everything
our
is
values,
ours.
everything, you know.
We own everything. Nobody's coming in there. No, you can't buy property. No, you can't buy land in our nation. You can maybe buy a condo, and we will do that as time goes on. But initially, no foreigners can buy land. You cannot purchase land. Absolutely not.
As people say, we can't build a neighborhood. We got plenty of black neighborhoods in this country. Where do people have this idea? Right here in my area, we got so many nice affluent black neighborhoods where I live at, you know? So we can't build a neighborhood. Why do these people come on my platform with this stupid negative ghettoization of black American culture, you know? That's not who we are, David Hitt and I. We come from black affluence and success, you know? We want to basically know that we can build a nation of our own. We're capable of governing.
We're world travelers. We know what's going on. We can fit right in anywhere. Yeah, absolutely.
So people
we're confident professionals, man. That's the bottom line. And I know we can do it.
I deal with black professionals all the time, brother. I got something. I'm gonna tell you about a business opportunity I know you'll like. You're in the state of Florida, right? So
yes,
I got a business opportunity I know you're gonna like. I'll call you about it this week. All right?
Yeah, please do.
I know you'll like.
Please do. 100%.
I know.
Yeah, man. But 100%, we can do it. And those who don't believe in this, like to the naysayers, I tell them, we don't care what you say. That if you don't like what we're doing, shut your mouth up. We don't want you. Do something else.
I just think, hold on, at a time where David, brother Hitt, all right, you see the controversy with Traore, right?
Yeah.
Now he's basically there are people going around saying the entire black race is behind him. I said, okay, all right, fine. But they're saying, especially Black America. I said, wait a minute. What's on the table for Black America?
Yeah, right.
You know? Now, everybody's like, yeah, Pan-Africanism, Black America. I said, okay, we support them because we see a black man. But really dug down to it, you're going to need more than that, you know? I have not heard the magic words. Okay, we got 10,000 square miles for the black man in America to have a home, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that yet. So we might just stand this one down, you know? We'll say, hey, look, man. We like you, brother Traore, but hey, we're not going to get in conflict with the United States over you, you know. But we ain't got nothing to gain. The days of us out there, like South Africa, we went out there like fools in the 80s, man, protesting for apartheid South Africa, and we got nothing out of it. Remember that?
Yes, of course.
We got nothing out of it, you know.
Yeah, people were all over that, man. I remember
that. Remember that? We basically. 2 years later, right? Then we had our culture changed. We got NWA came on the scene, you know, and all this stuff like this. And gangster culture, the movies, Colors came out. Black America went through a nightmare. You know, they went through a war, psychological war, against us, you know.
Yes.
In the late 80s. After we pulled that apartheid thing in South Africa off, the white world power structure said, no, this group of people in America are dangerous. We got to get rid of them. Then next thing you know, David Duke appears. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
David Duke and all that. Then we had the LA riots and all that. The 90s was a really dangerous time period, you know?
Yes.
Early 90s, you know?
Yep, I remember that.
Our culture
That was on
spiraled
the
out of control.
Yep.
Everybody was a gangster, a thug, or a drug dealer, a crack dealer, and whatnot. Our culture just spiraled right out of control, you know? So
Yeah, but back then in the days with South Africa, when Nelson Mandela was still in prison, and then you had Desmond Tutu. I remember back in the day with him. Then Winnie
he came
Mandela.
to America. Remember Mandela came to
Yes, of course.
remember 1990, he came to America. The whole country shut down. This man, New York City, everybody was black was by Mandela. Yeah, Mandela, blah, blah, blah. Man, he was like the talk of town. He was on every news, all week. He was on every Ed Koppel, all these shows, whatnot. He was just touring the country and whatnot. You know, we just saw, man, Nelson Mandela, he's in jail, but we're gonna have a black country. And when apartheid fell in 1994, they had the election, we were sure that we were gonna be benefit from that country, you know. It didn't happen, you know.
Remember, we were, in fact, people had, remember the necklaces with all the African cut out, the necklaces and stuff like that? Yeah. And everybody was getting their dashikis and, you know, everybody was going that route. It was all, yeah, I remember that, man, going that route. But yeah, they, South Africa, no, in the end, they didn't give us nothing from that. And it's dangerous right now in South Africa.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, you know.
Yep.
So I'm saying right now, okay, you got countries like the East, the Sahel states. Okay, they're in conflict with the United States, whatnot. I really think we should just stand down till they say, you know, something. We back the idea of an African American state, Afrikstan, whatever, you know, and we're gonna give you all that state. Whatnot. Then next thing you know, we'll, you know, hey, look, you know, let's see what we can do. We're like this, you know. But I have not heard that. What do we gain from all this shit, you know? What do I gain from all this stuff? I don't gain anything from any of these conflicts that's going on in Africa, you know? There's more freaking more talk and more anything. We haven't gained nothing, you know. If we can't get a land out of all this, then we really got nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not, and that's not going to be on the table. They're not going to, you know, it's when it's time for us. I mean, if he was able to be presented with this opportunity and say, if we have this piece, we're independent, we're all that, then you're going to benefit because we still are the American citizens. We still have dual citizenship so that we can affect growth in the air in that region. And if that does happen, I would, you know, we can tell him immediately, you would have a market of 44 million people that are willing to buy products and services from that country itself. 100%. I mean, it's look, we have no choice in the matter. And it's going to be done. We will have our land. I promise you, brother. We're going to get our place. And really looking at Dubai this time around, it really showed me how much easier it would be. We don't have to depend on, oh, we need all these black people to come, you know, dig dishes. No, you don't need to do that. Indians and Pakistanis and Africans, hey, they'll be more than happy. If we pay them well, where we take them out from where they're living right now, and we put shoes on them, give them medical, we give them a nice job, give them some money and a nice clean place to live, they'll be more than happy to dig a ditch anytime they want.
You don't even need to give them medical. I mean, they'll work pretty much for free.
No, I understand that, but if we give if we do give them medical, we treat them well, then guess what? They're gonna really stay there. And then the word gets out, and then other people will be like, wow, if I get the opportunity to go there, then they're going to come in and they're going to work hard, and they'll be loyal too. They'll be loyal to us.
Hey, bro, let me ask something real quick before I go to bed. Are you familiar with a gentleman named E. Dean Cole?
E. Dean Cole. Doesn't ring a bell off the top of my head.
Or do you remember a space it used to be called the Manosphere? You remember that?
Manosphere.
No, he don't.
Because I noticed because I feel like you were one of the people that was over there at one point.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't part of the Manosphere. He wasn't part of the
But my whole thing, because I know you talk about the Manosphere, though, Colin. My whole thing is I feel like the Manosphere fell off.
I'm not part of the Manosphere. I'm not.
Okay, but I feel like Manosphere don't exist no more because a lot of them became passport bros, pretty much.
I don't know what the hell it's all about. The bottom line, these were guys that basically had a lot of female issues and women issues and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but they got over their issues because they became passport bros. And
We still got issues because the whole thing is, I'm not gonna come out with a movement based on the fact that I have failed relationships, and it is what it is. That's how life is. Sometimes you live in a country, right? If you don't understand, it's not black women, it's just circumstance. Now, if you had your own nation on top and whatnot, you're the ones that the power structure, the energy and flows through your hands, everything like that, you wouldn't have no problem with black women. They will naturally submit to you, and naturally want to be with you, naturally it's survival, where they're gonna go. But you live in a situation where you let another man take care of your women and whatnot, and you wonder, and they don't need you for anything. What do you think is gonna happen? They're gonna give you no respect. The manosphere didn't understand that. Dude, man, we chose to basically be under the thumb of the white man, right? The white man controls the jobs. He gives the black women the jobs. He goes like this, so we have no power. So black women, I hear one black woman say, "I will never respect the black man. I respect the white man because he's the one. The black man got to respect. He's the one in charge." Or I was here. It was a TikTok trend going around where black girls are saying, "We don't respect black men. We respect the white man because they got the power," And that's the root.
that's just bedwench talk. Okay, you can't
Look,
take
hold on.
you can't take that serious, Colin. That's just some
I take it
bedwenches.
seriously because all a black woman has to do is open her legs to a white man, and that's it. It's very
Yeah,
easy.
but these white boys be killing them and throwing them out of
They don't care.
buildings, and
They don't care. That's how sad it is. They don't care.
no, they do care.
They don't care.
They care because see, here's the thing: is that I don't care how hard.
I thought the divestable would die. It's actually getting stronger.
No, it's dying because what's happened is when black women go to these other races communities, what they realize is that these white dudes' families are racist.
Yeah, they don't
and
care.
and they don't want them there. And what happened is they realize the mom is racist, his sister's racist, the aunts they're passive aggressive, and then after 3-4 years they come back to the black community. Now they want to be pro-black because they've been kicked to the curb by
the black community
by Mr. Charlie.
Are you gonna let me talk, bro? I say they come back to the black community bitter. That's what you have. They bitter
because they get kicked to the curb.
Oh, let me say this: those are females you see that out where the guy says, the people says, "Well, I want you to buy a meal for my daughter." He said, "Man, I'm out with you." Or, "Oh yeah, I invite all our friends on a date." They have no respect for black men. It says, "I'm gonna be with black men and whatever like that. I'm gonna make him suffer." That's what happens. They don't come back like, "Oh, we're gonna start off new and love the black man." Once they go off to the white man and everything like that. There's a girl just recently, it was like a foreigner, whatever. She got arrested in a store, right? Because some white guy pumped and dumped her, right? And she was basically like, "I want to have your kid." Where the white guy said, "I don't want you. I just have sex with you one time around the building," right? Anyway, it's not be funny. Anyway, she was basically saying, tell the police, right? Shouldn't you be out there unaliving some black Americans right now? I'm an immigrant, I'm not a black American. You should be out there unaliving black Americans right now, instead of me. So that's a fucking low down. That's how low the whole conversation's gone, And people.
I mean, it's always been like that.
When you talk about interracial marriage and for white and black, especially black women, white men, you're talking about like the lowest common denominator. There's no coming back from that shit, man. I'm sorry. There's no coming back from that, There's no coming back from it. That's what I believe. Once they go, we gotta get to the point where black women do not think about doing that because they want to be with black men because we're winning. Right now they see it as the white man's winning or the thugs. Like last night, this girl was sitting there defending P. Diddy. Y'all just jealous of him, Colin, because he had money. No, I wasn't. Look, I used to admire Sean Combs' business as a business.
I mean, no, we used to. I was the same way. I used to be like, man, I was so happy for him.
Yeah, I was very happy for him. Every time he sit up there, and when he was doing those fashion things and whatnot, I seen a black man my age, freaking doing. I was very happy for him. People,
I used to buy that stuff too.
I knew. I knew for a fact of the matter is, what turned me on against him really was that whole making it a band thing. Remember that, Dave? When he set those kids out there to get that cheesecake. He said, look, I want cheesecake, you know, and those kids were ruined forever, right? He said, well, we ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna do it. I said, next thing you know, they said, okay, we better go out and get this cheesecake, or he's gonna kick us out of the studio and send us home. So at like 2:00 in the morning, they went out and got cheesecake. You know, they walked like 13 blocks to get cheesecake.
Okay.
Yeah, he looked like that on national TV on a reality show, right? I was like, that's when I was like, this dude is mean, evil, man, to do something like that. You know, that's when I turned on him. But I still admired him for a business man, being a black man.
Oh yeah, he lost his way, man. I mean, right now, you know, he completely lost his way. And if it was one of my, I mean, if he was in the nation, he would have been executed. Plain and simple. He would have been.
I heard I heard he bet TD Jakes over.
Yeah, I would look, man. Like I said,
man,
see, in the nation, there's going to be execution, like in Dubai, executions. That's why things are nice and safe. When you start, if you want to act like that, stay in America. You want to be a man that wants to be a girl, stay in America. You want to do all this nasty, devious stuff with. You stay in America and do that. Don't do that over there. No, we can't afford to have that. We're not going down that road. And we're going to have the ability that if people, like even in the nation, citizens that get there and then they violate their own citizenship, we will strip them of their citizenship and send their black asses back to Baltimore or New York.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. Put you on a plane. That's right. And revoke it and say you'll never come back for the rest of your life. You need to stay in America. Be a permanent minority forever. That's it. Go get your job go try to go look for a job at Amazon or something. Yeah. You blew it. Yeah. We have to be hard that way, gentlemen. We have to be hard. Got to be hard. We have to be hard. We can't play games.
Earlier story asked if why yellow-skinned American. There's no such thing as yellow-skinned American. The only yellow-skinned Americans are fucking Chinese. You're black, you're black. You know, and I'm like this. If you're dating white males and whatnot, because you know why I'm against it, right? Because there's a real power dynamic in America where when people talk about interracial marriage, they're not talking about white men with black women or white men with Asian women. It's about the fact of the matter is they make it almost painfully clear that they don't want black men with white girls. That's what it's all about. From day one, they always had access to the black woman. You know, black woman is like their property. You know, and if I say I don't want to see that because I'm in certain some authority over my women, there's nothing wrong with that. It ain't a little innocent thing like, oh yeah, well this white guys. No, it's a power dynamic. White guys know that they feel like black women are their personal Asian women, especially Asian women. They think black and Asian women are their property. You know, they can do whatever they want to do. At the same time, they make sure Asian males, Hispanic males, and black males can get nowhere near their women. You know, it's a power dynamic. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. But as a right, I'd tell you this though. What I've seen a lot too is especially in Dubai, nobody wants these white women. And that white woman here, nobody wants her. Nobody wants Karen, Susie. They're done, man.
Yeah,
man. There's so many beautiful women over there, bro. You got Eritreans, you got Somalis, you got Kenyans, you've got Ethiopians
women
over
there
there
in Dubai. You know,
the local man. I saw
in America, it's like they have this idea. The white people can't get over themselves. They think every black man wants their women. You know, well, I tell them it's not true. Now, I have no desire. I tell white guys all the time, yeah, there's one for you.
None.
They're like, okay, well, you're not interested in that? I said, yo, okay, she's a good-looking white chick, but I don't do white. That's not me, you know?
Not interested.
Not interested,
and
you know?
What can they do? They don't have no flavor. They can't, what are they going to, they can't cook. They can't speak another language.
So what man in their right mind would want a power in America when they have inheritance in Africa? Well, I don't know. The bottom line is this: we got to stop talking like that because there's too many Africans over here, right, to be talking about who wants power. If you're gonna be someplace, have power there. You know, I don't see Africans trying to get out of America. To tell you the truth, you know, they want to come there. Oh, I got power in Africa. Why you fucking here in America? I had power in Africa. You think I'd be in America right now? Hell no. You know, I'll be the fuck out of here. But I know this is where I
And
make.
look at Nigeria. Nigeria, it's hard. It's horrendous.
Nigeria's a freaking Nigeria. No human being should live like that.
It's what those guys have done.
No human being should live in those conditions.
I don't think people realize how they destroyed their economy and their currency. In the last couple of years, back in like June of 2023, their currency used to be like a point like zero. Let's see, hold on, 0.0021 to $1. Where's my calculator? So it used to be that this is just a couple of years ago. Hold on, I'm sorry, brother. I gotta use a calculator. I gotta find my calculator. Yep. Hold on, I can't do my math too well at night right this second. But let me tell you how much their currency has fallen. So let's see. Their inflation is so horrible. Let's see, where is this at? And I don't know how they're even surviving over there. So let's see, one Nigerian dollar. Let's see. Let's go with this. 1,000. Oh God, no. Their currency is called the Neri. Neri, and it used to be 0.002. So at one time,
the Naira.
Yeah, Naira. So 1,000 times 0.0022. Okay, 1,000 Naira used to get $2.2. $2.2. And right now, that same Naira will get you 62 cents. 1,000 Naira gets you 62 cents.
Yeah, the country's gone.
It's gone. So 10,000 Naira. You ready for this? 10,000 of their dollars, literally. It used to be, 10,000 used to be, let's see, times 0.0022. Yeah, 10,000 would get you $22. And today it gets you $6. The same $10,000 gets you $6.
Yeah, it's sad.
And it used to give you $22. So you're talking 400% decrease. It's crazy.
Yeah, sad situation, man. You know,
totally. So and those people over there, it's like, what the hell did they do? What the hell did they do over there? To lose such. I mean, they have no value in their currency. None.
Yeah. Well,
so if you go over there with U.S. dollars, you living like a king for real, man.
Yeah, you go any place in Africa, U.S. dollars, you live like a king.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when people talk about BRICS, I don't care about no damn BRICS. That's another thing. We have a conflict. Everybody's Africans about the BRIC nations. What the hell do I care? I got the USD. We got the USD. So why would I want that to thing? Early Story says, buy Naira. He must be a Nigerian. Early Story. Buy. That's all I have to say. No, I don't think so, bro. He must be a Nigerian,
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. And the people that, if you want to live in a nice place, you have to live with armed security. There's security around the whole place. You can't go out there.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You can't go out there. And it's incredible what
my show is this. What I do is this. On this show, right? I know there's a lot of people that come in here. They want to tell Black America, come to my country, make a lot. And some people get away with that. There's this myth going around. Oh, Africa got all this wealth. And I tell people all the time, Africa Rising was a myth. It was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Africa Rising was something they put out there, but there was no real infrastructure built. And they basically overhyped Africa's Rising. They got a lot of Black America. I'm going to Africa. Africa's Rising. And now they're looking at it like, damn, man, I've been economy for 10 years and I'm really poor. I'm suffering. I thought Africa was rising. No. See, I want to give people an accurate picture of the continent. And if we don't have our own stock exchange on the continent, you can only do by having your own land and your own space. Everything we need to build in Africa, we need our own space. We need our own stock exchange, our own currency zones, and all that. If we had our own stock exchange, brother head, I thought about this when you was away. I said, people say, well, you're going to have to need somebody's credit. Okay, we just do all trades in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
See how it was? Wherever there's a will, there's a way.
We are the best.
I mean, country to host our stock exchange and we could probably funnel billions of dollars to projects throughout the country.
Brother, when it's time to, I'm telling you, and I'm telling the people listening here right now, I'm telling you guys, this launches. People don't realize, with our U.S. dollar, and we take our U.S. dollar, which is a dollar, and we convert that to our own currency, one for one,
or crypto,
and we back our currency up with a physical asset. It could be gold, water, oil, whatever it is.
It could be mortgage-backed security.
It could be
collateral debt.
It could be homes. It could be whatever. It could be whatever.
It could be ETFs, collateral debt, and everything like that. All these financial things that we could buy when we flow our bonds and financial. We just need to build our own financial system.
Now check this out. So if you look at, but we see, because we make money in U.S. dollars, we've got a stable currency. So when we create the African American dollar for one, and we back that up with a physical asset, our currency becomes even more valuable. Whether we back it up with crypto, we back it up with whatever. Like, for instance, Kuwait. So in the difference between Kuwait and the UAE, $1 gets you $3.50 in the UAE, but $1 gets you, guess what, 30 cents in Kuwait. Kuwait's dollar is strong as hell. One Kuwaiti dollar will buy you $3 US. That's how strong their currency is, and it's because they got backed by oil. The Kuwaiti currency is one of the strongest currencies in the world, and it's because it's backed by that physical asset of oil. They can go anywhere they want in the world, anywhere they want. Their currency, I can't even believe how strong their currency is. And so in the UAE, like I said, it was $1 US got you $3.50 over there. So if we back that up, that African American dollar, and we use with a physical asset, then that currency is always going to have a tremendous amount of value. And that's one of the things I learned when I was over there looking at Kuwait and the UAE, because you got land. Once that land gets developed, and we have that land that's developed, like there's a piece of land, bro. I saw it was a piece of land. It was a square in my friend's neighborhood. I'm talking. This may have been, let's say, 100 feet by 100 feet. I'm going to say that maybe 100 to 120 feet. It was nothing but dirt. It was next to these buildings. That plot of land was $8 million. $8 million. That's how much the value was on that land. I couldn't even believe it. Every day I was driving by, I'm looking at this piece of dirt with, boulders and sand. And I'm like, this is $8 million. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. So the same thing will happen with us. When we're there and we start building, then that land jungle will turn into a valuable asset. The price is going to rise up very, very quickly, because developed land gets money. You have electricity, you have running water, you have nice roads. That value of that land is going to grow immediately.
Yep.
100%. We ain't making no dirt roads, and we know how to drive every machine to make a highway, to make the best roads in the world, because we know how to do it here. We have all the brothers right now. There are brothers that know how to build roads from A to Z. But the difference is we will own all of the companies. We will own and we, as the government, will say, we want the road to go straight this way. And we'll make the right turn this way. And it will be done fast with the latest technology and the new machines. Just look at China. Say if we get this land and we say to China, okay, China, we're going to offer you a contract to build roads. Man, they'll come out there. They'll bring all their people. They'll do shit in like a year to 2 years. You won't believe how many roads they can build.
Yep.
Get this thing cleared out. Clear it out. And I want roads, sewer, power buried. And you give that contract to them, they will be more than happy to come do it.
Exactly.
More. I'm telling people, man, like I said, Carlo, when you see what happens in Dubai, you will not believe it, man.
All right.
And that's exactly how they go. Oh, man, you're going to be like, what? And you can't even imagine 30 years ago was nothing but snakes and scorpions.
Yeah, 2000. I seen a picture from 1991. It was completely barren, right? What gets me is that was right around the time where Nigeria tried to build Lekki, Echo Atlantic. And look at Dubai and look at Echo Atlantic. Echo Atlantic's still struggling. They got 2 buildings up after all these years, It's sad, Echo Land was supposed to be like a Dubai, and it's never happened.
It's like California with $40 billion to build homes for homeless people, and how many did they build?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. They're supposed to build 500 miles of high-speed rail. How much did they build?
Nothing.
What, a mile? Nothing. Absolute
So
corruption.
all this failure and whatnot, at least we're owed a chance,
Yeah, of course we owe it.
The world owes us a chance to fucking see what we could do, So
That's right. And hopefully, whoever decides to go on this, what do we have to lose?
we have nothing to lose.
You can always go back to Baltimore.
Yeah.
I was up in Baltimore, a couple months ago. It's a shithole.
Yeah, Baltimore is hell.
Roads are, it's a total shithole.
Yeah, roads hell. It's like every city that they give these overzealous Negroes in America, Detroit, Gary, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, we run them to the freaking ground. I don't know what the hell. They got every excuse. White supremacy, no, Negroes, Negroes. I said two races of people can't be in the same race, in a country, because white people have all the wealth, all the infrastructure in their hands, right? And you're trying to build a city without their capital and everything like that, So that's why you fail, Gary was doomed to fail, All these cities are doomed to fail, If you want to build a city, it has to be in our own nation,
Yeah. St. Louis is absolute trash too.
All these places where black people try to run. Not that black people are bad, it's that it just never worked when you have one race of people in power and another race of people that's completely dependent on another race of people. Redlining is real, Redlining is real. That's real, They literally said we're not going to develop no capital there. So all the areas where black people live have no tax base, And what do you have? You have failing schools, dilapidated roads, urban blight, no urban renewal, nothing like that. Abandoned buildings, all stuff like this because there ain't no capital coming in there,
Yep.
That's what it is. So that's what it is in America. The only way we could we have to have what we have to build for the future is a nation of our own, And then we have all the government can basically raise the billions and trillions of dollars to use to build these nations and whatnot and everything like that, Boss Edison is the only bright spot about Detroit. It's a black middle class. Boston, I don't know. Boston Edison is the only bright spot about Detroit. I don't know. I know there's middle class areas, but the bottom line is there's always going to be a black middle class area. In those areas, Baltimore got a black middle class community. Every community got a black middle class community. A professional, the people who grift and live off the excess of failure, DC got a black middle class. Every community got a black middle class community. But
in Detroit, I was looking it up. There's an 8-bedroom, 4-bath home, brick home for sale for $10,000.
Yeah. The thing is, though, you need a community to you could have the houses, right? Well, who's going to live there? That's the whole thing.
No. These are places. No, there's a lot. They have a lot for sale. 3,500 square foot lot for $1,000. Ain't nobody going.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I would like invest, but the bottom line, you can turn it and flip it. And you know who's going to actually go there to live? The Arabs and the Chinese, the Mexicans. You'll be completely gentrified because black people are over trying to live around other black people. For the sad part, you need something new. Black people ain't going back to these.
They got low property values over there in Detroit.
Yeah,
but once again, that's indicative of the school systems around the area. They're just
the crime, the violence. You push black people out. They're like, man, I'm done with this shit. But the Muslims are taking over that area, Dearborn and
a lot
of Detroit, whatnot. They're doing really good. That's Dr. Claude Anderson. He tried to bring his powernomics to Detroit. He had to sell it to the Arabs. His fish business, whatever. They said, "Oh man, he was in debt, $100,000. Man, he had to fucking break camp. The Arabs bought him out, and he walked away clean, So, this is what it is."
Wow, they got a home. That can't be right.
All right, brother. Here, let me get going, brother. I'll give you a call tomorrow, man. I gotta end the show. I'm tired.
Yeah, man. I'll send you some stuff.
Look at my past shows, man. I've been getting a lot of views, man. You know,
Okay, good,
last
man.
night show
Yeah.
I woke up this morning to 1,000 views, man. You know,
That's awesome, man.
I was like, wow, so this show's growing, man. It's pretty soon.
Yeah, man.
When I get 1,000
Good, man.
subscribers, man, it'll be monetized, you know. So
Absolutely.
that
Let's try to
platform's
help you
growing.
let's get you monetized, bro.
Yeah, then I could take money and take the money and do stuff with it, you know.
Yeah.
If I need to pay somebody to do some work, whatever like that, we can start.
Yo,
doing.
but hey, now when you get offline, check out that Kanye song, man.
Oh yeah, I am.
Go check it out. Yeah,
All
go, they're blowing up on that. Check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Take care, brother. Peace. Y'all
All
have
right,
a good
folks.
night.
Thank you.
Fellas.
Thank everybody. I wish everybody all the best. I wish
All right.
everyone
Same here.
all the
All right,
best.
y'all take care.
Okay. Okay. Bye bye.